Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash! Praise the cash! Praise the cash! We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Ladies starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, we are back also in my preferred broadcasting place, which is my tiny, messy attic office studio here. And I'm happy for the fact that I'm back here with the multicam setup. We've got a lot more bells and whistles. The show just looks better. It's much better produced here. I commented on a recent Patreon and members video that I really don't like that head in a box. I don't like that. Every show, there's people with heads in boxes, and we're trying to avoid that by using the multicams and a little different, sort of set and setting. And I think it works much, much better this way. Now, this for the first time, I will be taking a moment to welcome into live chat, and I can still get the aggregated live chat, whether you're chatting on our Facebook live feed, our Twitter live feed, our Twitch feed, or YouTube. I get all of the messages. And Jimmy says, sound is back. You'll see, even the display of users' comments is better with this software. I really, really think so. Yes, and Admiral Rascals commenting that addicts are supposed to be messy. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have do want to mention that this is brand new software for us, and it's been the reason that we haven't had many shows this week. I've been busily trying to learn this. Chuck Bam says Steven is not blurry. Well, my wife says the darker it gets, the more handsome I get. So I think being blurry is probably advantageous, right? I'm just much more handsome if I'm blurry, right? Don't love the distracting border. Well, I apologize. There's other borders. This This is one that I chose, and this is something that was not available on StreamYard. Um, I don't know who is saying no sound. The sound is there. Uh, please listen. Do me a favor. Don't ever go to a live stream and tell the show host no sound unless you're sure it's not a problem on your end. 1 second. Stream and make sure. Yeah, it's working fine. It's working fine. The sound is fine. But just so you're aware, if please be sure that, or maybe there was a hiccup, I don't know, but just please be sure before you tell a live stream show host that there's no sound, that there really is no sound. Sorry, somebody doesn't like sound wasn't there at the start. Oh, that's interesting. Well, it's working now, so yeah, I apologize. I always mention this. We're a live show, and that means that sometimes there will be technical problems and issues to work through, especially being that this is brand new software. But hopefully, we'll do okay tonight. But I'm just pre warning you, there may be some technical problems or issues. So tonight, we're going to be talking about Karl Nell and this Sarah Gamm. But before we begin, I think it's wise to remind everybody of some things. And of course, that would be that these people are both, in my opinion, evidence free storytellers, which coincidentally is what you'll notice that you always get. These people are making, world shattering claims, but yet nobody seems to have the least little bit of evidence, which should be concerning, you would think, to most people, right? That's odd too. I think there may be an issue with the cam switching, so I apologize. So before we begin, I really wanted to show you this because who the person is that is making the claims to me is very important. So this Sarah Gamm comes along and suddenly starts making all of these claims. It turns out that she is a psychic. Sarah Grace, psychic medium. She's a spirit warrior, an angel communicator. She says, "Welcome to Sarah Grace, psychic medium, your local Northern Virginia psychic medium since 2020. Everyone has the potential to improve their life, yet no one has all the access to the information they need in order to do so." 1 second. New software, friends. So, and here's the other issue. Oh, wait a second. There we go. Uh, this one works a little differently when you share the screen. So my apologies. Eventually I'll figure out. You have to share the screen and then add it, but we'll get there. So this woman is making all of these claims about aliens. She claims my entire life consisted of ghost, spirit, and angel experiences. I was raised fourth generation on a family farm in rural Missouri. I fell in love with the stars around 8 years old. In 2006, becoming an astrophysicist was a dream come true. Then in 2019, I got my, master's degree in countering weapons of mass destruction. Kind of an odd mix. After a near death experience in 2012, my spirit experiences were increasing. My science path led me directly to face with energy that cannot be observed, the spirit world. As I developed my abilities, I found my purpose and ease of connecting to the unobserved energies since 2020. So I guess she's been a psychic and a medium since 2020. I have been providing healing. I thought that said healing massages. No, healing messages for clients through divine energy. Get in contact with me today and see how we can begin to work together. And I believe that you can hire her, and yeah, through the contact form. I think that she did have her prices on here, but I think that maybe she took them down. I don't know. And you gotta love these psychics. They always have a disclaimer. Information you receive from any and all services, communication, and consultations with Sarah is for personal, educational, or entertainment purposes only, and not intended, nor should ever take the place of any medical, legal, financial, traditional, psychological, or other professional advice. In other words, come to me for advice, but don't hold me accountable for that advice, right? Um, So, I think it's very important that we consider the source. We have to consider the source when we are evaluating people making claims. And some people are getting so excited. Oh, she is saying that we're definitely not alone in the universe and aliens are definitely visiting Earth. But yeah, well, she also says she can talk to your dead relatives and she's got superpowers. So maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't be so excited about that. Uh, I, for one, I'm sorry, I kind of feel like stay in a lane, right? If if you're a government worker and you saw some alien proof, or yeah, that's great. But if you're also a psychic wackadoo who's talking to people's dead grandmoms for $150, I think that that's gotta come into the conversation. Now, I also wanted to talk about Karl Nell tonight, who is back. Remember, this is the guy who says, we're definitely not alone. We're definitely being visited by aliens. And remember, the last time he did that was at the SALT conference. He's a disgraced colonel who was essentially fired for harassing a woman, right? A whistleblower, too. So that's great. Don't you UFO disclosure people care about whistleblowers? So there's a like 7 minute long video. We're going to try to go through it here. See if I can't figure this screen share out. No matter how much I test it, Sandra McDonald said, I sent you an email. Okay, I'll take a look for that, right? Uh, oh, that's interesting. Looks good. Audio and thumbnails are still cursed, though. Hmm. Yeah, audio's been back for a few minutes. Try refresh. Wow, look at that. We can share. Here's more bad news. I forgot to load the praise the cash bumper. So I'm gonna, for those unaware, we thank every single person who sends any support our way. Whether you buy me a coffee, you send me a PayPal pledge, if you become a channel member during the show, or if you send a super chat, we thank every single person. Uh, Okay, so Akama says, I'm Com Notes on Twitter. Thanks for the entertaining shows over the years and being so considerate with your time. Glad to hear your son is on the mend. God bless. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And I'd like to be able to play a clown saying praise the cash, but I forgot to load the praise the cash bumpers. I've been at this software migration for days, and I still haven't done that. So I will just say thank you, Akama. Akiki, is it Akikama, Akikama, I think, and Comnotes. Yeah, Comnotes found this really funny show with these two guys that just make fun of shit on the internet. And oh man, I checked out some of those videos, and I love those guys. They like every show they dress in these weird costumes, and one of them was there's two hosts to this show that he sent me that he wants me to be a guest on. And in one of them, one was Willy Wonka, and one was a Oompa Loompa. But thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. Praise the cash, bitches. I'm sorry I'm going to have to do it tonight myself with no bumpers. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, but I did remember to do something else here. We definitely needed this. This is one of the first things I did in this new software. Make sure we have the fair use banner, because we'll be sharing this video. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We're critiquing the video that we are sharing. And this is certainly covered under fair use and is allowable by law. And you guys commenting while we play the video and I share some of your comments also helps us to make it a transformative work. So fair use. Let's see if we can't get this now. And God bless Mike Colangelo. who posts all of these clips so I don't have to make them. Makes my life much easier. And I'm sure we disagree on many things, but it's still very good. Okay, now let's see. There we go. And I'm not sure. Yeah, there's several different ways that I could do this. It's interesting that everything is reversed. Remember, it used to be I was on that side and the video was on this side. I don't know. Uh, Works for me though. Let's see here. So Karl Nell is aerospace executive and a retired colonel, and he made a big splash at this SALT conference some time ago, claiming, "I have no doubt that aliens are visiting Earth," or something to that effect. And when asked for his evidence, he gave us proof that this is all one big circle jerk. He said, "Oh, well, we've got people like Dave Grush saying it's true, and we've got people like Lou Elizondo saying it's true, so it must be true." Well, neither of those clowns have provided any evidence, and neither does this clown. Well, he cites some complete and total wackadoos and fake stories for proof. For example, he says this. I think it is. He says this Wilbert Smith in Canada. He was a high level Canadian intelligence officer, and he said that aliens are definitely visiting Earth. Yeah. And that same guy also said that he communicated with aliens on Venus and Saturn from his backyard telepathically. So, and he also provided no evidence or proof. So, at some point, some of these disclosure bro dorks have to figure something out. And here's what they have to figure out: just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's actually true, right? You would think. You would think. It's just absolutely ridiculous that they don't understand, you know. And he also said that the Israeli defense, or excuse me, the Israeli space minister said aliens are visiting Earth. But what he doesn't tell you is that guy was doing an interview and he was just repeating things his granddaughter heard from Laura Eisenhower, the wackadoo of the world, right? I mean, that woman is completely batshit crazy. And so the Israeli space minister's granddaughter was a fan of Laura Eisenhower, heard all this stuff about the Galactic Council or Federation, told her granddad about it, and he repeated it in an interview. He was not saying that he believes that. He was repeating stories that his granddaughter heard from wackadoo Laura Eisenhower. Great. There we go. So we're going to get into this video. This one's a short one.
Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity on this planet. This interaction is ongoing and it's not new. And there is zero doubt. But you already knew that.
Yeah, he's speaking to believers here. So, of course, you could say, well, you guys already knew this. There is zero doubt. I'm sorry. Based on your piss poor sources that you're citing, like Wilbert Smith, the Canadian wackadoo who thought that he could telepathically communicate with aliens from Saturn and Venus from his backyard, then he essentially got fired from the Canadian government for trying to study UFOs, which wasn't his job with them primarily anyway. He's a disgraced wackadoo that got fired from the Canadian government. That's one of his sources for aliens are real. And his other is that, a very aged Israeli space minister was repeating some things his granddaughter told him to an interviewer about the Space Council and Galactic Federation or whatever. That's who he's sourcing here to base his. This guy is dumb as shit. Like, this guy is dumb as shit to be basing his entire arguments off of those two wackadoos. It's like one big wackadoo salad. All right. I'm sorry.
So how do we go about convincing other people that this is the case? Particularly people that aren't necessarily privy to all the information that some of us may otherwise be.
Well, you could show us some evidence of that, of your claims. And I don't mean repeating stories from other wackadoos.
And so there's three principal lines of effort, three principal sources of data. There's essentially the first principles argument, which basically says, counter to common belief, that life is common in the universe. How do we know life should be common in the universe? There's 20 billion sun-like stars in the universe.
Yeah, I love how they always give some real facts that they can sort of say they're basing their arguments on. I don't believe if you talk to most astronomers, astrophysicists, biologists even, that they would agree that life is common in the universe. Because if life was so common in the universe, we would probably have found life on the other planets in our own solar system. So it's kind of pie in the sky here.
The sun is a population 1 star. There are planets like this, there's stars like the sun that are 5 billion years older than the sun. That's plenty of time for other civilizations to evolve on these other planets. There is recent scholarship that says that life evolved on Earth in the Hadean era. The Hadean era was before the crust even cooled. There's recent scholarship that says that microbes have been found in terrestrial rock that have dated to 2 billion years ago, essentially in stasis. So life evolved here very quickly. There are many, many planets like the sun, and there are many, many planets that are much older than the sun.
Yeah, these are all things that are true, but that doesn't support the argument that life is common in the universe. Maybe life is common on Earth, and the Earth-like life that is here can survive long periods of being frozen, like microbes and bacteria. I don't know, but that doesn't mean that that life is common in the universe. It's a false equivocation.
People that would argue that life is uncommon have to justify that proposition more than anyone would have to justify the fact that life evolves very quickly. The second point is faster than light travel. Everybody says faster than light travel is not possible. This is false. Miguel Alcubierre, a postgraduate student at the University of Mexico in 1994, solved Einstein's equations for an effective faster than light mechanism. NASA is investigating
life in uranium.
Everyone accepts his solution is valid. His solution requires negative energy. In 1960, quantum physics demonstrated or predicted the reality of negative energy. In the 90s, the Casimir effect was demonstrated in the laboratory. The Casimir effect demonstrates negative energy. The expansion of the universe, which is caused by dark energy, is negative energy. So we have a solution to Einstein's equations that allow effective faster than light travel. Right? We've got the existence of negative energy proven. This isn't an engineering solution. This isn't a means where we can go and do this, but theoretically it's possible. And this is not argued by modern scholarship. So from a first principles, life is more than likely common, and we know that Einstein's equations support effective faster than light travel. That's the first principles argument. The second is the testimonial. Perhaps there are people out there that may know more than some of us might know, including people that have been in the intelligence community, such as myself. So we can look at several presidents, Barack Obama, President Trump. They both said UAP are real. We can look at, as was mentioned earlier, Chris Mellon, Dave Grush, Lou Elizondo have said non-human intelligence is real.
Yes, and none of those people that said non-human intelligence is real has provided a single shred of energy, or excuse me, of evidence to support their claims. So somebody just has to say something and then it's true? Theoretical BS, says drummer 3354. But back to this. There's a terrible argument here being made. And that is, one moment. That is this argument that because somebody said UFOs or UAPs are real, that means they're aliens. There's always going to be UFOs. Of course UFOs are real, or UAP, whatever you want to call them. There will always be something in our skies that will be very difficult or impossible to identify, therefore will remain unidentified. That does not equate to aliens. Yes, Trump said UFOs are real. Barack Obama, UFOs are real. I think most reasonable people would say, yeah, there's definitely some unidentified things in our skies that we have trouble identifying. UFOs are real. But to just say, because they said UFOs are real, therefore aliens. They all do this. They all make this jump straight to the aliens. And, no offense, Mr. How the hell is this guy a colonel and an aerospace executive and he doesn't understand he understands zero about standards of evidence, apparently. And listen to who he's citing. Other wackadoos and UFO profiteering hucksters like Dave Grush and Lou Elizondo, who are just here to make money, in my view. They tell stories. They never have any evidence, but disclosure is always just around the corner. Well, they said that non-human intelligence is real, so it must be true. No, you know what would prove that was true? Some evidence, dude. And here he is back for a second bite at the apple with absolutely no evidence, but huge fantastical claims.
We can look at Lord of the Fleet, Lord Hill Norton, a chief of the defense staff in the United Kingdom in past years, have said UFOs are real. We can look at the first Earl Mountbatten of Burma in the United Kingdom again, that have said UFOs are real.
Doesn't mean they're aliens.
We can look at the chief of the Canadian Defense Ministry, Paul Hellyer, who have said non-human intelligence is real. We can look at
Paul Hellyer was a complete and total wackadoo who believed anything he read in a book was 100% true. He believed if it was in a book, it was 100% true. Paul Hellyer was one of the worst UFO wackadoos. And by the way, this reminds me that some time ago, Senator Rubio said that there's two possibilities here with this whole UAP thing. Either there's really is something to everybody making these claims, or we've got a lot of nut bags in the U.S. government. And I'm here to tell you, friends, there's a lot of nutbags in the U.S. government. A lot of wackadoo nutbags. This guy, wackadoo nutbag, worked for the government. Dave Grush, wackadoo nutbag, worked for the government. Lou Elizondo, wackadoo to the extreme, claiming he has superpowers and he's shaking terrorist beds with his remote viewing superpowers. And on and on and on we go. John Ramirez worked for the government. Total wackadoo. Anjali worked for the government. Total wackadoo. That John Ramirez guy, total wackadoo. There's so many people. Richard Doty worked for the government. Total wackadoo. He's on Gaia TV telling people about the reptilian overlords that really control Earth. So I think I got to find that clip again that Marco Rubio, who said these are, there are two possibilities. Either there's something to this, or there's a lot of wacky, crazy people that work for the government. Certainly, from the evidence I've seen, I'm leaning to there's a lot of wacky, crazy people that work for the government. It's very clear.
Eshed, who is the Israelis' father of their space program, who has said non-human intelligence is real.
Okay, did you hear who he just said? That Israeli space minister. And as we have detailed here previously on our show, that Israeli space minister was simply repeating claims that came from his granddaughter, who got those claims from Laura Eisenhower. Laura Eisenhower, she's been working UFO conventions since I was 10 years old. That Laura Eisenhower, she's never proven any of her claims. That Laura Eisenhower, at some point, friends, I just kind of zone out of these people, and the thing is, if you don't know these little details, like that Wilbert Smith guy that he said aliens are real is a complete and total wackadoo. If you don't know better, like, wow, this sounds convincing. The Israeli space minister said that non-human intelligence is real. And these high-ranking intelligence officials said that non-human intelligence is real. It sounds very convincing, but it only works on a low information viewer, a live. And that's what these people prey on. People that aren't going to look this stuff up and figure this out, that he is basically walking on very, very thin ice, trying not to fall through to the river underneath of bullshit that he is propping all of this up on. it's really interesting for me to peel back these layers of deception and see through this from a psychological standpoint. Does this guy Karl Nell, did he not look into those people? Is he that stupid? And how do you get to be a colonel and an aerospace executive being so dumb that you just believe anything any wackadoo says and you never dig deeper into the source of their claims or belief systems?
All these people and more would be in a position to know. Then we can look at the evidence, the data. You've seen the videos, the floor video.
Sounds good. Oh, well, the Israeli space minister would definitely know if there was non-human intelligence, except what he said was based off of Laura Eisenhower, the wackadoo. And he wasn't confirming that. He was just saying, my granddaughter told me about this galactic federation and all this other, these aliens, and there's a council of aliens.
The gimbal, the go fast. A lot of people probably don't know Gordon Cooper, one of America's 7 Mercury astronauts, chased UFOs over West Germany in 1951. He testified to that fact before the United Nations in 1978, analogous to the David Fravor Tic Tac incident. We can look at the UFO incursions over the Northern Tier ballistic missile early warning sites in the 70s and the document supported and testimony supported readiness status change of our ICBMs in the 60s at Malmstrom Air Force Base, where
that came from Robert Salas and has been debunked. There was a power failure, which caused a momentary loss of operational readiness for some of our ICBMs. And I think that UFO movie they don't want you to see nailed that case. There was a power failure that day. And the UFO sightings were the week before the power failure. So somehow there was a UFO sighting somewhere near the base. And then a week later, there was a power failure, which caused a momentary sort of power down of the nuclear missiles and their readiness capability for just a few minutes. And then they were back on. And somehow people turned that into UFOs and aliens are, you know, somehow controlling our nuclear missiles. That's not the case. There's no evidence for that, except for Robert Salas, who also believes that aliens kidnap him and his wife from his bedroom just about every night. Again, you know, it sounds like this guy has been basically binge watching UFO documentaries looking for data points, but he doesn't know. Here's another problem with these UFO people. Their data sets are always flawed. Their data sets are incredibly bad because they're pulling data from bad sources. And I'm sorry, but every source that this guy has mentioned is a hoax, a complete and total wackadoo that said some shit and had no evidence. Somebody who thinks they can communicate with aliens on Venus said something, so he believes it. These data points are dirty, man. This is disgusting, despicable. This is not data that any real scientifically minded person actually looking for the truth would use because it's so flawed. At the core, it's like trying to grow a wonderful apple tree from a rotten seed. This data is all rotten seeds, but he's collected a whole bunch of rotten seeds, so now he's convinced.
Many missiles were taken offline by a UFO. The analogous thing happened in the Soviet Union contemporaneously. In their case, the missiles were brought online. There's an agreement between the United States and, at the time, the Soviet Union, intending to reduce the threat of nuclear war, that talks about each party notifying the other if UFOs are impinging on their warfighting systems, because this was recognized.
Yeah, and Kennedy was the champion of that because he wanted to prevent a nuclear war.
As a fact. There's documentary evidence. The Twining memo from 1947. General Nathan Twining, future Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, wrote a memorandum that said the UFOs are most likely extraterrestrial.
And what was he basing that on? Again, somebody said something, so it must be true. It's almost as if he has a pre-existing belief system and he's just trying to find any data points that he can throw in his brain to justify this belief system. But all of his data points are extremely flawed and lacking in any real evidence.
There's an official Canadian, official Australian documents declassified on the National Archives of Australia from 1971 from their defense attaché that made a formal assessment of the United States' interest in UFOs, the reality of that, and the fact that the US was investigating anti-gravity programs in concert with looking into UFOs, a conclusion that would make no sense unless the reality of this topic was demonstrated. So some people say, well, if this is real,
Well, that doesn't make any sense. Would the government be interested in anti-gravity if aliens were not actually visiting us? I think so. Anti-gravity would be an awesome technology to have, right? I would think that anti-gravity would be an awesome technology to have. Oh, you know what? I just realized too, and that is in our previous software, when we got a super chat, it went to a certain folder, and this doesn't do it. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on the live chat so I don't miss any of your super chats. I want to take a moment to thank all of you kind and generous friends who super chatted during our replays and deep dives over the weekend. Yes, Patty Wilhelm says this from a man who called the sun a planet. Yes. This guy says something and Steven says BS because he's using very flawed data to support his arguments. Yeah, it's just very, very. Does he work for Stavati? Trolly, troll. I don't know. Yeah, he's about the quality of a Stavati executive, though, right? He'd do well with David Wilcock, right?
why don't they fly over the White House or something? Well, in 1952, UFOs flew over Washington, D.C. over 2 weekends. There were radar visual sightings, there were air-to-air intercepts, and it created the largest press conference since World War II up to that time.
Yes, and then scientists determined that those were weather anomalies that people were seeing, and there was no aliens. You know, the lie by omission. He just forgets to leave that part off. Yeah, there was UFOs seen over Washington, D.C., but after a thorough investigation, no aliens. Nothing special, Mr. Nell.
People say, well, why don't they just land during the middle of the day? Well, that happened in 1994 at the Ariel School in Rura, Zimbabwe, where UFOs presented themselves with beings and occupants on the ground, witnessed by numerous children. The exact same incident happened in 1966.
Ariel School is a very flawed incident that may be attributed to, I don't know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind being on television the week that that event apparently happened, and some UFO grifters getting to the children and influencing them.
In Westall, Australia. The people that witnessed those events are still alive, and they continue to state the assertion of that being a factual occurrence. So these things taken together, along with much other evidence, suggest that this is absolutely true. And I'm speaking to you today to tell you that there is zero doubt this is absolutely true. I know this personally.
He knows it personally. Can you show us any real verifiable evidence that's got you so convinced aliens are visiting Earth, please? Or are you just going to keep spouting UFO hoaxes and wackadoos who said things you like?
So the way to solve this problem is to motivate the grassroots. Political activism is the solution to restoring proper oversight, developing a process for responsible disclosure, and advancing society through the efforts of that process. So I salute you for your participation in this event. Again, I thank New Paradigm Institute. I'm humbled to be able to address you and participate with you in this historic occasion, and I wish you the best. God bless.
Wow, that's interesting. And isn't it great that an organization dedicated to disclosure in the form of New Paradigm Institute held something, and I think they called it World Disclosure Day. And then they put it all behind a paywall, except for this that somehow leaked out, I guess. But their entire event is now behind a paywall, and you got to pay to see it because everybody knows that disclosure ain't cheap. You want disclosure from a disclosure organization? Get behind the paywall, bitches. It's just so stupid. We're an organization that wants transparency from the government. Can you show us the evidence that everybody showed at your conference? Well, no, not unless you pay. And even when you pay, it's a big letdown because nobody had any evidence. Just everybody repeating circle jerk stories like this clown. Wow. So that's Karl Nell in a nutshell, who is repeating very flawed data points, and he's apparently convinced that the aliens are here and they're real, right? Patty Wilhelm is here and says, "Send cash." Yes, absolutely, send cash. That's how you get disclosure, Patty. You got to pay for it, and those aliens ain't cheap, right? So I've got another video here, which reminds me, I have to, one second. Let me do this before I forget. For those unaware, one second. Former UAP Task Force. I got to find the link to the actual video. I mirrored the video because I always like to. Essentially mirror the video, because if I don't, the all the UFO grifter channels have their ads cranked up to like maximum level. One second here. I'm just going to add the link to this Ross Coulthart, of course. Ross Coulthart video shared under under fair use. All right, because if I don't do it now, I may forget, and that may negate the fair use. So we'll put our fair use. Our fair use banner it's already up. Okay, good. One second now. I have to find the mirrored video, and we're going to go through this, Sarah. And it's interesting that Stephen Greenstreet reported that there was a lot of wackadoos on this UAP task force that this woman was on. And remember, Stephen Greenstreet said in the spaces that one of the people on the UAP task force, they had a female ghost that would tickle his feet. One of the other analysts, not this psychic girl that could talk to your dead grandmom. This is another guy, had a ghost that used to visit him at night and tickle his feet. A little girl ghost. Yeah, not creepy at all, right? So, and remember, Dave Grush was also involved with the UAP task force. And I'm left wondering, as a taxpayer, how many crazy people are you going to hire to work on very, very important national security problems? Like, if there are truly unidentified aircraft that are invading our skies, flying over military bases like people claim, messing with our nuclear weapons, is the best person to handle those problems somebody that thinks that she can also talk to your dead grandmom, or a guy who thinks that a little girl ghost tickles his feet every night is also working on this problem? Maybe we should get some serious scientists, right, instead of wackadoos. But this, my friends, is what Arrow was. They realized that the people running this UAP task force, including Travis Taylor, remember him? He's the Skinwalker scam guy, who also said that aliens are stealing cow blood so that they can travel at faster than light speeds. These are the people that are working on a national security problem for my government? It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. And no matter how much I think that the government is kind of stupid and wasteful, I can't get over the fact, right, that they're employing these people like this woman who thinks that she can talk to dead people. And also, I think she can channel aliens as well. And I've retitled the video, Former UAP Task Force Insider Tells Disgraced Journalist Ross Coulthart We Are Not Alone. And once again, Ross Coulthart is here to get his piece of the UFO pie. Well, there's this new girl, and she's going to say some stuff, and I can make money off of her. And how many more of these interviews with evidence-free storytellers is Ross Coulthart going to do? probably lots more. Reality check. And listen, before you, I almost didn't know that wasn't playing there. 1 second. All right, so you do need a reality check. Before you watch Ross Coulthart, you need a reality check that we have caught him selling 100% provably fake stories over and over and over and over again. There was we have conclusive proof of alien technology with the ball shavings. That was a completely and totally fake story. There was the Patchgate story. That was a completely and totally fake story. He was a big profiteer on the Wilson notes, which I believe is a completely and totally fake story. And there's more. There's more. He's a disgraced Australian journalist because he got caught claiming that a bunch of members of the British Parliament were child predators. Turns out his only evidence was a wackadoo who was making false claims in order to sue and get money for his false claims of sexual abuse. And that is why I believe his contract was not renewed with 60 Minutes Australia. He can't work anywhere, so he ends up at News Nation, which is basically the worst supposed new news network. Everybody that gets fired goes to News Nation. Chris Cuomo and a bunch of other people.
Hello and welcome.
I always like to say this. Ross Coulthart is about as credible as a crackhead holding up a gas can asking you for a couple of bucks because he needs gas to get home. I believe a crackhead before I would believe this guy. I truly would believe a crackhead telling me stories before I believe Ross Coulthart at this point. Oh, and there was also the giant alien spaceship. It's so big it can't be moved. He knows exactly where a giant alien spaceship is, but he can't tell us. Sure.
Welcome back to Reality Check. Well, for some time,
I've
been hearing stories about how our intelligence community remains, despite its protests, very interested in the subject of psionics, psychics, and the phenomena that...
And so he's going to talk to a psychic. We got to do this right now. I really hate that I don't have the bumpers, but we want to take a moment to thank Astro Mastro for a kind and generous $5 Canadian. Says, come on, Stephen, you know it's all about the grassroots. Sure, absolutely. And I'm sorry I don't have any bumpers tonight. I'll have to fix that later tonight. But thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity and support. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. Thank you, Astro Mastro. Very, very kind of you. And I don't know, what's this? Star? I can star it. Huh. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Still trying to figure this out. And should I happen to miss a super chat because they're not aggregating to a folder like my old software did, I apologize. What I'm going to do is make a mental note, and at the end of every show, I will check on YouTube and make sure that we read them all. But thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. I don't know how much of this we're going to do. Not much.
I think a lot of debunkers dismiss pejoratively as a load of piffle and nonsense.
I dismiss people who claim they have superpowers, yes, as nonsense. And by the way, I'm allowed to do that, Ross Coulthart, because I was a professional stage magician, and I have busted at least 10 completely and totally fake psychics using fraudulent techniques to pretend they have superpowers, often employing the same magic tricks that I would use as a stage magician or a mentalist in order to convince people that they have superpowers. I have investigated many, many so-called psychics. I've never found anyone capable of any extraordinary superhuman ability or paranormal ability. You, on the other hand, just like, well, remote viewing sounds great. Psionics sounds great. You have no qualifications or background to judge people making these claims. A stage magician does, Ross Coulthart. And yeah.
Well, today I'm very honoured to be able to welcome to Reality Check a woman who is an extraordinarily accomplished woman. Sarah Gamm worked on the UAP Task Force officially for about a year with
other wackadoos,
the Pentagon in the Department of Defense, and then unofficially for a lot longer before Arrow took over. And I've seen her speaking elsewhere, and I think her story is fascinating. I really admire her willingness
In
to
other words, it's
engage
a story
candidly
I could sell.
about the fact that she believes she has certain
I could definitely
gifts,
sell this
psychic
story.
abilities,
Definitely
mediumship
sell this
abilities,
story.
and yet at the same time, she's an accomplished scientist,
Oh.
trained scientist, and intelligence analyst working in different times at very high levels of the US intelligence community.
Wow.
So we're talking again this week through our sponsor about the horrors of what happens.
Oh God, he's got to do ad reads for this shit on top of this. That's funny. He's not making enough money on the YouTube pennies, so he's got to do ad reads too.
Thanks so much for having me, and I appreciate that intro.
So tell me this, Sarah, you worked on the UAP Task Force. What years were you there?
I started officially in 2019 through, I forget, somewhere later in 2020, whenever I left NGA and National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. And
So she worked with Dave Gruss at NGA, National Geospatial, what she just said.
Went to ODNI, Office of Director Natural Intelligence. So that was my official stint on it, and then the unofficial stint was I kept on supporting from behind the door a little bit.
Now, you'll know that I interviewed Dave Grush, of course, last year, and of course he came from the NGIA, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. I don't suppose you guys shared a desk or were in the same coffee room by any chance, were you? Did you know him there?
No, we weren't even in the same time zone. I know he also supported from NRO perspective, and some of the NRO colleagues knew him, but we were not in the same time zone, so we never got to share coffee or meet.
So you'd never even heard about each other, and even though you were working on the UAPTF at the time?
I did not. I did not know him. Well,
I guarantee she knows him now, because it's all this same group of wackadoos.
Supporting the task force from a very small niche, from a small corner from NGA. So we kind of were kept in our own bucket and didn't really participate in, sounds like he participated in a lot broader perspective, and I was very fine-tuned perspective from imagery aspect.
Right?
Now, I'm sure you're tied up, like most people, with ridiculously long top-secret SCI compartmented clearances that restrict you from talking about much relating to your job, and we will respect that. We're not inviting you to discuss things that are national security sensitive. But can you give us an idea, what did the UAPTF do? Like, what was the role of the UAPTF? Because I think
Well, this is interesting because, I'd like to know what she was doing, especially if this was her full-time job, while she's also, and that's another thing, I just want to put on the record here. I consider people who take money for psychic services to be a form of consumer fraud. Why is the government employing somebody who on the side is stealing money from people while pretending to talk to their dead relatives and claiming to have superpowers? Wouldn't that preclude you from working in a sensitive intelligence area, because that basically means you're a scumbag? And here, I'll say it. If you take money and then pretend to talk to people's dead relatives, you're a scumbag, and you have no business working on anything sensitive for the government. But that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
For a lot of us, it comes as a huge surprise to know that even while the public debate was going on about whether or not UAPs were being taken seriously, all this time there was a unit inside the Pentagon, even before ARROW, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, that was indeed investigating UFOs, UAPs.
Aspersions, please, says Steve Long. Welcome, Steve Long.
My perspective of the task force was either trying to prove something was unidentified and unidentified aerial phenomenon or anomalous phenomenon, whichever term you want to use. That didn't mean it was non-human intelligence. It just meant we couldn't identify it. So that's what our definition was. And so we proved or disproved. It was a very collaborative effort. It was pretty amazing for how many different agencies and people,
why don't they just hire Mick West, and
at least from NGA perspective, no one was really turned away who wanted to support it. It was really diverse and
probably kind of like
open arms type thing of collaboration. So yeah, we all work together to try to prove or disprove data that came in.
Let's skirt around your TSSCI clearances and see how close we can get to get you to pry out some dark secrets.
Yeah, one of the things that she's not mentioning is that most of the so-called unidentified craft, after thoroughly examining available data, are identified as balloons, drones, non-extraordinary things. And I think that it's very dishonest to not state that.
Maybe definitely no promises. I don't want to go to jail tonight or any time in the near future.
Yeah,
did you see videos that the public hasn't seen yet that made you realize just how real the phenomenon is?
Oh, absolutely. This question's actually getting easier and easier to answer. The first time I answered it, I paused quite a long time, and now it's getting easier because I know the stigma and people want to hear this, and these words help. So yes, definitely, there's a lot more out there, and some of it, unfortunately classified that can't be released to the public. But no doubt in my mind that we're not alone.
So when you say we're not alone, you believe that Earth is being visited, or at least there are non-human intelligences engaging with this planet.
Admiral Rascals, you mean not go to jail for fraud?
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Can you tell us what the smoking gun was? What was the aha moment for you when you realized having access and being privy to this information within the constraints of what you're allowed to tell us? What was that moment like? What happened? Absolutely. What did you see and how did it move you?
Yeah, I think it was a buildup of multiple things. So one of the first videos where a handful of us really didn't know what it was, and we were talking to other intelligence community agencies and people with the clearance, right? It was at first like I don't know, because my science brain is very active and
she's got a science brain and a Wackadoo brain.
But my science brain knows we're not alone because I'm an astrophysicist as well. So
aren't real.
How could we be the only people in infinite amount of space? It just makes no sense. So I was definitely a skeptic the first couple of things that I saw, discounted.
Wrong. She's not a skeptic because on her website she's saying that she's had superpowers her whole life. Somebody that's a skeptic would not believe they have superpowers. Oh, I was very skeptical at first. Okay.
As there was just a couple of pixels, it was blurry. And then slowly over time, more and more things accumulated. And then there was just a couple of incidences where some videos were a little bit clearer.
Honestly, I don't think
some images were a little bit clearer than others. And it's just
up his own behind to say
your breath kind of stopped.
Yeah, he has no shame.
There's no way that could have been a balloon or parallax, because parallax is, of course, very prevalent in a lot of the cases.
Mrs. Gamm.
So tell me this. One of the excuses or reasons that's often given for why this kind of video data cannot be released is because to reveal it would reveal sources and methods. Now, is that a legitimate reason for excluding all of the imagery you saw? I can imagine there might be some satellites, for example, and we don't want the potential adversaries to know just how clever we are with those satellites. I talk to people here in Australia who shock me with how clear the satellite imagery is that comes down through Pine Gap all the way back to...
one of the things that is interesting is that a real journalist would drill down on her claims of being able to talk to people's dead relatives and, channel aliens or whatever shit she's claiming. But he has to dance around that and just say, well, she worked at the Pentagon. Isn't it relevant that she also thinks that she could talk to dead people? Maybe you ought to mention that to the audience so that they could, know that you're talking to a total wackadoo who thinks she has superpowers? I would think so.
To the US.
But it's the lie by omission. Let's just leave that part out of this. Let's not tell people that she's offering to talk to people's dead relatives for $150 on her website.
But do you think that it's legitimate that all of the imagery has been withheld, or do you think that there is
You're right.
a public interest in seeing
incident, let alone
perhaps
any
at least some, if not all, of that imagery?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good question. I will say, I don't want to give a percentage, but I'll say a good portion of what I saw, I don't think should be released because it is protecting sensitive and maybe, people on the ground. And, but yeah, I don't see why some of, what we were able to observe, even the ones that were proven to be balloons or something, to give examples of what we've been looking at, that this is science. We're not just saying.
Yeah, well, the problem is sources and methods. And sometimes these videos come from something like a Reaper drone, for example, which is a classified platform. So they're not allowed to release anything taken from a Reaper drone. But if you're Jeremy Corbell, you can and not get arrested, even though that's classified data, right? Proving that he's in on it, whatever is going on.
Every video that comes across our path, including just stuff that's posted on YouTube, right? So we're looking at all the data, not just classified. And to give examples of parallax or balloons or bird migration. I've learned about birds during this time. Or fishing boat formations and all kinds of stuff that you might not really think, but you end up learning. You learn so much more than what you think just going down these rabbit holes. So I could see some of them definitely being declassified. I am by far in no position to be an authority or anything like that, so I'm just going to stay hopeful that one day.
Yeah, and that is one thing I would agree with this Wackadoo on. If there is UFO videos that have been debunked as, okay, that's birds, that's plane, misidentified plane, that's balloons, that's Chinese lanterns, I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't be allowed to release those unless those videos or still images were taken from classified platforms like a Reaper drone, because in that case they have to protect sources and methods.
Maybe my words speaking right now might help nudge somebody to be able to disclose some stuff.
What do you think, and I'm not trying to get you into trouble, so you are welcome to deflect this question if you want to.
I appreciate that.
But what do you think of the explanation that has been...
Steve Long is here, who's a great researcher and raised an excellent point. Steve Long says, I'm confused. According to their own 2021 report, the UAPTF only solved 1 out of 144 UAP incidents. What are these incidents she's mentioning which were identified as balloons? Yeah, good question. But, saying the truth, Steve Long, is that we're so dumb, we only identified 1 out of 144 incidents. With all of our science backgrounds, you got her, you got Travis Taylor, the Wackadoo, who thinks Skinwalker Ranch is real and that aliens are stealing cow blood so that they can fucking travel at faster than light speeds. Steve Long, excellent point. Her stories aren't matching up to available data and information. And that's exactly 2021 when she said she worked there, right? I think.
Offered by the Pentagon in recent times that there is no evidence at all of extraterrestrial visitation to this planet.
I don't know what they looked at to say that. I don't understand why they would, when there's a lot of us saying that we've seen otherwise. And it kind of hurts because a lot of us worked really hard on some data and debunking or proving or,
Remember, it's also the UAPTF that missed all those Chinese spy balloons. They were too busy looking for aliens like wackadoos to actually deal with a real national security threat. And that's a failure on the part of the government. And all of these people should have been fired. Maybe some of them were. Who knows?
Whatever. It was a lot of hard work that went into some trying of to find the videos that I saw.
A lot of hard work went into trying to find
them
those
to come
aliens.
out saying that right now, it hits you a little hard.
One of the things you've used a couple of times is the term parallax. Now, I know what parallax is, and I'll try and explain it, but if you could correct me, and I'm sure I'm going to screw it up. As I understand it, parallax is describing the phenomenon where an object looks further away from the camera than it really is, and as a result of that, it's basically moving far faster to the viewer looking at the image than it really is. And so you get this false image of an object moving super, super fast when in fact it's actually moving quite slowly because it's closer to the camera than we realize. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, Chuck Bam says she's
that's great. Yeah, I would. The only thing I would add on from just trying to give I'm a visual person. So if you're looking out, like if you're a pilot in an airplane looking out over the horizon, it's really hard to judge distance. So if you're looking at a drone video and something's flying by, maybe the drone video also is panning across the scene. So that will make the object look faster as well, or maybe it might look stagnant. So it's difficult to get direction and velocity
Taylor, total
due to parallax.
Total wackadoo. This woman, total wackadoo.
So Chris Mellon, who's a former very, very senior defence official, has candidly spoken about his frustration that the Pentagon's not being open about even what it's seeing in outer space.
Just because Gamm says
now, are you able to tell me, did any of the imagery that you saw in your time come from space-based satellites or objects?
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, there were some that were from space-based satellites looking down.
Craig Williams.
And were they clearer? Well, I mean, I'm told that a lot of the more clear imagery and high-resolution imagery has been shot from satellites and or the space station and or the space shuttle.
I almost did one time. I talked to her on the phone a few times. She's a nice lady, but she's crazy.
I've seen some.
Yeah. And similarly, one of the things that has been pointed to me is I'm told that one of the videos that really set off people at the UAP Task Force was an object that appeared to be operating transmedium, moving in and out of the water.
She's going to say she saw this famous video of a USO.
Are you able to speak with any reference to that? Was there an object that you saw on video that was alarmingly clear coming in and out of water?
I have seen data that shows that. I can't get into much detail about it, but some of the legacy videos that the public sees, I never spent time really diving into them because people already did that. Taxpayer dollars have already gone into that. So
you guys waste how much in taxpayer dollars looking for aliens? That I'll agree with. And this picture behind her is wacky because it's got like a cat and a flying saucer in it.
I have seen other videos that are of what you just described.
So Lou Elizondo has at different times acknowledged that he has seen videos in the public domain that are still the subject of speculation as to whether or not they're authentic, which are,
for those unaware, I have to move to a
genuine videos because he saw them during his time when he was operating in a classified role.
Broadcast from here.
Have you had that experience yourself? Are there videos that you've seen that you believe are genuine that are still being debated in the public arena?
I actually appreciate that question a lot. There are some things that have been leaked
and wasting taxpayer money.
I want to say what has been unfortunately leaked, which is what we call an unauthorized disclosure, isn't the whole picture. So some things that have been in media is 5% of what it is. And I can't talk about more of what it truly was, but I will say I hope people stop leaking because that's not helping us because it's not the actual story.
Yeah, she hopes that Jeremy Corbell stops leaking classified data. And by the way, in a separate interview, and maybe I'll play that clip, she threw Jeremy Corbell under the bus for the jellyfish video, saying that's not unidentified. We identified it. And so the people on the task force, everybody knew that was an identified object and it wasn't a jellyfish alien or whatever Corbell claimed. Corbell ran with that being alien spaceship anyway. They had to tell him what it was. They knew what it was when they leaked it to him. And she basically said it wasn't unidentified. We identified what it was, but I can't say any more about it. Plan D is here. It says, "Hey, Leah, I'm late. Awesome Adventures only here tonight on Truth Seekers." Yeah, thanks. Good to see you, our friend, Plan D. Always good to see Plan D. Chol says, "Wilcox, stop leaking all over yourself." Yeah. Oh, let's try to continue.
Actually, this is really interesting because I respect and actually admire why you're saying that, and I think I understand why. I'm privy to some information. There is a risk, isn't there? And I don't think people understand this enough, that we might compromise technologies, capabilities that aren't otherwise known about by potential adversaries. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just that. We've looked
Sources
at
and
some of
method.
these things already and have, different opinions than what was provided to the media from the person who leaked the data. So that's why I'm saying, other than it being an unauthorized disclosure and an issue from that perspective, it is not the whole story and it's not always accurate.
Psychic wackadoo or not, I would like to ask her, who leaked all of that shit to Jeremy Corbell? She probably knows who was leaking that shit to Jeremy Corbell. And I believe it's one of two people. I freely admit this is speculation and just my opinion. It's either Stratton leaked that stuff, Travis Taylor leaked that stuff, or Dave Grush, all of which were involved with the UAP Task Force. And it's interesting that they get rid of the UAP Task Force and suddenly Corbell's not getting leaks anymore, right? Interesting. And why is Corbell able to make money off of classified videos and still images from classified briefings from the United States government? Why is he able to do that with no consequences?
So it's actually hurting us versus helping us.
Yeah. So let's talk about you, Sarah. I mean, I'm fascinated and I admire your courage in being prepared to talk about it, because you actually copped a serve from a certain person who shall be unnamed after you came public and talked about your mediumship role, the fact that you have alleged psychic abilities and that you use those psychic abilities as a separate day job, a separate job from your day job. What can you tell me about how early you realized you had those alleged gifts?
Childhood. I had encounters with a loved one that had passed over, that crossed over, geez. And probably middle school, I started having encounters with spirit.
Oh my
And I
gosh, she
didn't
is going
start
to talk about her
having more psychic
superpowers.
abilities until after I had a near-death experience in 2012. And after that, more things started happening. But yeah, so kind of for a while, but I didn't really start learning.
I didn't start scamming people.
Yeah, I don't even know how to approach it. Learning this journey, taking classes and training until about probably 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I
didn't start scamming people to talk to their dead
That's
grandmas.
fascinating to me, because I've spoken to a lot of people who are combat veterans, people who've been in very near-death experiences when there are people shooting at them, trying to kill them, and they describe how
it was Stratton who leaked that
often
stuff to
they have
Corbell,
an encounter or an engagement with the phenomenon for the very first time that literally scares the bejabbers out of them. It's often not friendly. In your case, it seems to have been quite friendly, hasn't it? Can you tell me what happened? I mean, I don't want to distress you because I know it was a horrific period in your life, but how was it that you came, a beautiful young woman like yourself, how was it that you came close to death, for heaven's sake? What happened?
I had a routine sinus surgery. I had a
alleged
deviated septum and was getting a septoplasty done, and surgery went well. Recovery room did not. I first initially woke up and asked to go back to sleep.
Psychic medium would not be tolerated as an intelligence analyst. Well, apparently
I
they did tolerate
again.
her.
I heard the nurse say, "Oh my God, she's not breathing." And I was like, "Who's not breathing? That sucks. I pray that they're okay." And it was me. And next thing I know, I'm not on Earth anymore.
Experience, the Archangel
with
Michael
my family and loved ones. And it was very unexpected. And I don't even know how soon after that was when I started having psychic things, probably within a couple of years.
So I can't let this go by. You've actually died.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it like?
I'm alive because of an epinephrine shot, actually, and because God kicked me out of heaven. So,
God
what's
kicked
it
her out of
like?
heaven.
It is the most, if you can imagine, love and peace and those things completely surrounding you in a cloud or in a bubble. And
So she's had
it's
near-death
that feeling that
experiences.
you're
She's got
picturing right now,
superpowers,
except
and she's
exponentially
saying
more.
aliens are visiting Earth.
It's
Totally
incredible, and having
believable.
my family there, I'm trying not to tear up. It's the best feeling ever. I was home and my family was there to greet me, and then I heard a voice say, "You got to go back," and I was like, "Go back where? This is
Good to know
great. I'm
why
good.
fools.
That place sucked."
You don't want to talk to her anyway.
And I lost that argument. My family teamed up with
Yes,
the
the Archangel
voice, with
Michael seems
God,
very
source,
helpful.
whoever you want to
Poor
say
David
it
is
is,
jealous.
and my family teamed up, and I lost that argument. They came back.
Yeah, she's
And
a
so
druggie.
you're
Why I
saying
like
that as
fools.
a result of that experience, something seems to have
MDMA lover.
enhanced abilities that I think you believe you already had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so now
It
what we're
seems
getting
like,
is
I don't know if
we're getting her superhero origin story. She's explaining where she got her superpowers from. She died. And when she came back to life, she had superpowers. That sounds like a Marvel movie to me. Doesn't it sound like a Marvel movie to you? You got to have a superhero origin story to explain how you got your superpowers. Uri Geller is basically says that he got his superpowers from aliens who shined a light on him from a spaceship.
something maybe got turned on or what, but stuff, and it felt like it was always there, but it was a little boost, a battery pack boost, and it started happening.
So a lot of the
Still
people
getting
I've
used to this
spoken to
software.
who are
Everything is in
combat
different
veterans,
places,
people
so
who've
it's a little
been
like
involved in killing
it's a
themselves
little disarming.
and
Like,
basically people trying to kill them, they often have really frightening experiences. You know, they've had the kind of hitchhiker phenomenon where apparently malevolent, anomalous phenomena appears to be engaging with them. That's quite threatening. Is that what happened to you?
oh no, evil aliens.
I didn't have any, well,
About the evil,
I
malevolent
don't know.
demons,
I don't know how
aliens.
far you want to get in down this rabbit hole, but I've definitely
I want to
had
go
some
all the
malevolent
way.
things.
I'm very
Yeah,
interested.
all
Very
right.
interested.
Everybody, buckle up.
Now
I've
she's going to
definitely
get
had
into the
some
woo.
malevolent things happen to me for sure. I have encountered
I
so
wonder
many
if she's
different
encountered
things from,
cucumbers
I
like
call it
David
earthbound
Wilcock's wife.
spirits,
Anybody
which are
know?
ghosts. Like, so if you see ghost hunting shows, it's typically earthbound spirits that
Well, that's interesting.
they haven't crossed over to the other
Ghoster's name.
side. Even different alien races during some of my sessions, house clearings, or house
Where is she in
clearing
the Cosmic
is
Con Shuffle?
when a medium, a Reiki master could even go in. It doesn't have to be a medium, but you kind of clear out somebody's house for them if they feel like there's a
Typical Back
spirit
from the Dead
there
story.
or maybe some really bad energy. So you go in and
So far she can get spirits out of your house. She can talk to your dead grandma, and she can clear what demonic or alien entities out of your house for you. Sounds like a load of horse shit to me, but okay, all right, honey, you got superpowers. Yo, do you think any dude that hooks up with her has to like play along? Like, well, I don't think she has superpowers, but I want to bang her, so I'm just gonna have to pretend that okay, honey, you got superpowers. Lay down. You know, like Richard Dolan has to do that with his wife. It's gross, right? I remember growing up, there was a lot of girls, and we called them bi-wippos, bisexual Wiccan poets, and they thought they were witches or whatever, and some of them were hot. So I would just kind of, my eyes would glaze over when they would start talking about pagan rituals that they were doing, and they were going to do a moon goddess worship ritual on the full moon. And I was always just like, just take your pants off. Stop talking. You're ruining it. Guys got to play along with her. They have to, right? She's going to be like, what? You don't believe my superpowers are real? And she'll just cross her legs. So in order to get to the goodies, you got to just play along. Okay, you got superpowers, honey. All right. Yeah, lay down.
kind of clear it out and then bless it afterwards.
She's
So
going to bless your
I've
house for you.
encountered some malevolent
You get a
things
priest for that. You don't get a
during pretty much
psychic
all of
scammer.
the types of spiritual work that I do. But I've encountered a lot of good and a lot of love. So I don't want to negate and say everything's bad, but
yes, it doesn't have to be a
yeah, I don't
medium.
know. Want to get into
Monkey sage.
specifics,
It
but
could be
there's
a
also
Reiki
something
master.
that's called
That's another
residual energy.
scam.
So that's kind of like an imprint. So think of physics.
Why do
Everything
I
is energy.
fools?
Everything is,
So it sounds like my
you
perfect
can't. What
woman.
is the
Yes,
first
get the
law of
pants off.
thermodynamics?
Yes.
You can't create or destroy energy, and or a part
Thanks,
of the
William
first law.
Runner. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying
So everything's energy,
sexist
even the other
comment.
side. So
Watch.
a
I'm
ghost
gonna
or a
get
soul
nasty
that was
email.
here, that was alive, when it goes to the other side, it's in another dimension where there's still energy, there's still electromagnetic field. And so that if there's a traumatic experience that happened
Yeah.
in a
She
place,
mentioned electromagnetic
war,
fields that can cause
or maybe
hallucinations.
a murder or a flood, and flash flood comes through, so there's trauma, there's an imprint that happened in the energy field. And this residual energy is like a replay. It's a movie reel, like a just short reel that's on a loop. And so sometimes the energy doesn't know that you're there, but when like a person sensitive to it, when I walk through it, I'll absorb something. And so I've absorbed some very negative things as well before.
Oh, she can
So when you were a
absorb
child,
spirits
before
too.
you had this near-death experience, had you experienced any kind of anomalous phenomena?
When I was a kid, I thought I
My
did,
fool
but
says,
now I
"Let
know
me
I
share
was likely watching satellites fly
wisdom
over.
fruit."
Um, I never saw anything looking up in the sky because I first fell in love with the stars when I was in third grade. One of my brothers got a satellite for
Sounds like.
Christmas, and we took it out and we looked at the moon. I annoyed everybody with a million questions that no one had answers to.
All right, I have questions because she just said my brother got a satellite for his birthday. How do you get this? And she's an astrophysicist. She just said her brother got a satellite for his birthday, and we took it and looked at the moon. I'm sure she meant telescope, but isn't that a weird mistake for somebody with a 4-year degree in astrophysics to make? She's an astrophysicist. She doesn't know the difference between a telescope and a goddamn satellite. Jesus, lady, you are wacky.
And it was love at first sight. So I've been looking up for a very long time, and I grew up in rural Missouri on a farm, so we had clear skies all the nights
David
that I
Beam
wanted
mistakes
that
Danny
didn't have
Sam for
clouds.
one of the Golden Girls.
And I
Yes.
never saw any object in the sky until last year.
Neighbor mooned
So
her.
I was in North Carolina with my family and some friends and some
Here she goes.
strangers at Brown Mountain on Linville Gorge in North Carolina.
Oh, what great production.
Just for the sake of our
Coulthart has.
viewers who may not know Brown Mountain, it's quite a famous location for looking at anomalous lights, isn't it?
Yes, Brown Mountain lights. So that was the whole purpose. We were going UFO hunting, and the group of us, I think there was maybe 10 or 8 to 10 of us, I forget. And then there were some other
William Runner says he
two
wants a
strangers
satellite too.
on the overlook. So it was not a
I
hike
haven't
or
checked
anything.
her
So there's
credentials, but I think she does have a degree
concrete path and
in
stuff like that. So it's
physics, but she doesn't know the
not, you're
difference
not
between a
out completely
satellite
in
and
the
a
wilderness,
telescope.
but it's a
That's
beautiful, beautiful
problematic.
view if anybody ever gets a chance to go there. And one of the guys and I that I had just met, we were talking with
60
a
minutes
woman, and we
pissed
were
him off.
facing,
Yes,
like I'm
contract not
facing you
renewed.
right now. And so we were looking up,
She's a late
and the
bloomer.
light appeared.
She only
And I
saw an
kind of took my
alien
breath away, and I was
UFO
like,
last year.
that's an
Yes.
airplane. That's for sure an airplane. And discounted it.
Hey,
And
D, get out of the way. Truth
it
Seekers
went
is here to
away,
say.
and then it came back, and it was just a
She's got
little bit
white
higher
on
than where
her
it was
computer
before, and it
screen.
kind of did a
Well, that's
little bit
gross.
of movement and just disappeared. And it happened so quickly, I couldn't even get my phone out. Like, so I totally understand when people are like, I didn't get a video, because the video probably wouldn't have showed up anyway because it was, midnight or something. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Oh,
And
pretty crazy. I saw a
looked at the
UFO
dude
and I
and
got a
like,
phone in my
did you
pocket, but I
just,
didn't even try to
and he
take a
had this
picture or
beautiful
anything.
soft voice, and he was like, yeah, I don't want to ruin your experience. And I'm like, but you could ruin it. Was that what we saw? Like, go ahead and ruin it. I want to know.
And
Okay,
so
I'll leave her
you're
around.
convinced it was something really anomalous.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was really
Oh,
cool. And no
come
one else
on.
saw it because all the other group, they were in a
She's an
different spot and they were looking at
astrophysicist and
different
she sees a
directions. So
light
we
in the
were
sky
the
and
only
she's
two that
convinced
saw
it's
it.
aliens.
Now, do you want to
Come
talk
on.
about the more recent anomalous objects that you've seen, I think even in the privacy of your own home?
Yeah. I haven't told a ton of people this, This was actually probably, I would say, I'm trying to think of what time frame it was. I know it was at least last summer or maybe before that. I
Now we're going to hear more
so I
woo.
do have vivid dreams and lucid dreams. And so
your pivot
sometimes
will pop.
I know dreams are happening and I'll let them play out or I'll control them or something like that. And so at one point, I don't know what time of the night it was
Lucid
because I never
dreaming is
bothered
not
to look at the
paranormal.
clock.
I can
But
do it
something woke
sometimes.
me up because it
Sometimes you
was
realize you're
pacing in my
dreaming and you can
bedroom.
direct
And
the
as a
dream.
medium, that happens. That is not
She's a
I'm gonna call
medium.
it a rare occurrence now because I know how to protect myself and I know
She
how to
has about a
protect my
5.
house.
But she
But it
means she can talk
happens,
to dead
and
people and
so I
channel dead
immediately thought, oh, this is
relatives.
a spirit, because sometimes
It takes
I'll
money
see these
to talk to
things in
people's dead
between, like
grandmothers.
when you're starting to wake
That
up and
means she's
coming
a
out of
scumbag.
REM, I'll see
Sorry,
them
not
then. So
sorry.
when I actually open my eyes, they won't be there. And then I kick them out of my house. So in this instance, I actually sat up
Countering
in
weapons of
bed
mass
and
destruction.
it was
She has a
still
master's
there.
degree
And I'm
in
like,
that.
I'm still sleeping. And it was
How do you
pacing
counter
in my
weapons of mass
house.
destruction?
And
I have
What did
no
you
idea.
see? Tell me what you saw.
But she's a master at it.
It looked like it was probably 6.5, maybe to 7 feet tall.
Moses.
And it was dark. So it was hard to depict exactly what color it was, but looked like it was like a bluish purple skin. There was no hair on top of its head, and it had some ridges
Oh my
on its
God.
side. There were no
She saw a purple alien being, just like Anjali. For those unaware, if you smoke DMT, you're going to see a purple being. I'm not advising that you try smoking DMT, but you can go on YouTube and just look up DMT trip journals and go look at the number of people that see purple beings on DMT. It's very, very common. Now, I'm not saying she was smoking DMT, but it's interesting that she saw a purple being.
ears, so it was really flat, and the nose kind of looked like a little bit more like Voldemort, but maybe a little bit more bump than Voldemort. And
she's a
it
Harry Potter fan,
had
apparently.
like
Big
I'll call it like a
surprise.
Star Trek type uniform on, very like
Oh, he's
straight,
wearing a Star Trek
plain, very
uniform.
clean. I couldn't tell what color it was because it was dark, but so it was a darker color, and it had this
I agree. There's too many stupid people,
sword.
drummer.
It looked like it was made of very beautiful crystals. Like not crystals, it wasn't plural, it was like one object. It looked like some from a sci-fi movie, but it was like glowing and it was like kind of changing.
Sorry, where was this? Sorry, I didn't pick up where that was. What was this crystal?
Yeah, it was in my bedroom. So he was holding it. He was holding.
So he was holding what, a rod, or
he was holding a sword at his side. So what do I have around here? Here's my phone. So he was holding, like, if this is the handle, he was holding it downward.
What
like,
if it was
not
a
in a threatening,
dildo?
like not attacking, not in a threatening manner.
Crystal dildo.
And he was pacing, not
alien
quite at the
appeared in
foot of
her
my bed,
bedroom
but a
with a
little bit
crystal
past
dildo?
it. And so I still was like, is this real? Like, this is totally real. And
Beautiful
so I looked
crystals.
down, and
Like when I
Krypton,
smoke meth.
my cat, he is my little protector, and he was just sitting there
Means
watching it.
Vishnu.
So I've seen Krypton fight malevolent things for me, spiritual wise, and I have seen him growl and fight in the air. And he's also seen, I have a best friend that passed away, and so he visits. And so Krypton, like, I've seen him react to good and bad.
I just got to stop this and comment right here. So somebody that was charged with a huge national security problem and solving that, which is the subject of UFOs and UAPs over American airspace. Somebody who has a master's degree in countering weapons of mass destruction, who has a bachelor's degree in astrophysics, who worked for the United States government in a classified setting, is saying that a purple alien with a crystal dildo appeared in her bedroom to her. And then her dog fought off the crystal dildo wielding purple alien. This is the quality of the people that the government hires to work on sensitive national security issues? She said alien with a purple dildo appeared in her bedroom, friends. Come on. This is so stupid.
Energy, and he was just sitting there watching it just like I was. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not getting bad feeling any either. So I started asking her questions. I'm like, can I help you? Do you need some water? Do you need a pillow? Do you need a blanket? Like, are you cold? I could turn up the air. I gotta walk by you though to get to the thermostat. So I'm asking all of these ridiculous questions just to try to get it to engage with me. And it was like a guard at the London Palace was like face forward on a mission, and I just kept feeling like it was protecting me. At one point, there was kind of a glow, and it looked like a portal. It was like a very, very light pinkish glow that appeared, and he stopped, or it stopped. I shouldn't say he. It stopped, looked in the like the portal thing, and it lasted for not even 2 seconds.
Apparently, she's got a thing for crystal dildos.
And it went away, and he kept on pacing.
You happen to get a date, bring a crystal dill with you.
And I was like, okay, so now do you need water? Is like, should I be worried? And again, didn't do anything, just kept on pacing. And I'm like, and so Krypton at that point laid down to go back to sleep. Okay, if you're okay with this, I'm going to be okay with this. And so I went back to sleep.
You're kidding. So come on, Sarah. I mean, I've got to say, if I had a blue alien humanoid in my bedroom, I'd be yelling at it saying, get the hell out of here.
She has a degree in Wackadoo. Yes.
I mean, I'd be terrified. The life of a medium, though. Like, some of these things aren't that,
I'm up for it, but no pegging.
There's things that happen as a medium that a door might slam, and you're like, okay, who wants my attention? And not right now.
So what do you think was the purpose? If this actually happened, what do you think was the purpose of that visit? I'm intrigued also that the being was blue.
She said blue.
I think it was protecting me. I was. I'm going to be in James Fox's film that is coming out hopefully soon.
I'd be intimidated.
I had already been filmed and was dealing with.
I'd be concerned.
Some confusing stuff at work relating to career choices and leaving the UAP
Alien wants to peg me.
And so I think it was just to show me that I'm protected from the other side. That no matter what choice I make, they're there for me. I have encountered different alien races in some meditations and in some of my healing work. So to me, it was just another layer of I got support.
So
lots of layers
obviously
of
a lot, I suspect most of our viewers are sitting watching this going, oh my God, this is a member of the UAP Task Force who's actually talked to an alien, somebody who has engaged with a non-human being and believes passionately that they exist.
In fact,
you're more than belief.
We don't know what
I suspect would say you know they're real because you've seen it directly yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just explain to me, I mean, you're a scientist, you're an astrophysicist by training, you're a trained intelligence analyst.
How can you believe any of this shit?
You're not an idiot. You're trusted with top secret SCI compartmentalized material.
One might ask why she's trusted with top secret material, given the fact that she's telling people on public live streams that purple 7-foot-tall aliens with crystal dills appear in her bedroom and then vanish in a portal.
Government values you. Were they ever at all, when they became aware of your mediumship role, your psychic abilities, were they ever at all discouraging you? Was there any effort to try and discourage you from being open? How does it feel in your office environment to speak candidly about the fact that you believe that you have these gifts?
Mm-hmm. What's amazing to say is no one cares. I was terrified. Petrified.
No one in the government cares.
To let people know.
Listen to the things this woman is saying.
I'm trying to have a business. I don't know what I'm doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing with the website either. So when I first created my LLC,
my God,
my name was out there. And so I eventually called it, I outed myself on Facebook and to all my friends. Most of my friends I've known my whole life. It was no surprise to anybody. Everything made sense, but work doesn't care. My friends that I had on Facebook at the time that were coworkers, they would come to work like, oh my gosh, you could do this, you have to tell me stories, and like everybody was actually really excited and asked me questions, and it's never come up of don't do this, or like you can't have this sap read on anymore. It's never it I was terrified, and it's just I'm so proud to say that it doesn't matter.
One of the things that always intrigued me, and I remember reading slide 9 at the very beginning of my research when I was first looking at the UAP issue, and I became aware of this document that had been prepared by people inside the Pentagon who were briefing, I think, Thomas Modley, who was at the time an Undersecretary for Defense.
Yes, Andrews, I forgot to say that would breach my NDA.
And they were talking about how the phenomenon has the capability to psychically engage with human beings. And it struck me that one of the most recurring messages that I get from the many, many people that I speak to as I investigate and research this phenomenon is that there is an intrinsic connection between the phenomenon, what you and I might call flying saucers, flying discs, orbs, anomalous phenomena, and human consciousness. Yes. And possibly human psychic abilities.
No, I think she has real degrees.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Most of my communication that I have with spirit, when I say spirit, it's with that is a bucket of all the things of the other side. When I communicate with them, it's usually telepathically or it's through images. So
you can communicate telepathically.
Let's say a loved one is trying to talk. I'm sitting with a client right now, and I'll get an image of a sunflower. So it's like puzzle pieces. So everything does come in telepathically. So when I've heard stories of NHI and maybe even people speaking through the aircraft, like they're observing at the aircraft, and they get messages there, it totally didn't surprise me. And in dimensions that they operate in, they understand physics and science way more than we do. Earth is pretty young compared to the age of...
Okay, so she's a scientist, and she's saying that the spirits that she telepathically communicates to understand science and physics better than we do. All right, if you say so, honey.
The universe, so they're way more advanced, so it makes sense that they understand different levels, different dimensions, and can talk in different ways with us.
So, Sarah, explain this to me. The thing I wrestle with as a journalist, I'm an open person, a transparent person. I don't understand why, if there is a non-human intelligence, why doesn't it land on the White House lawn? Why doesn't it show itself more overtly to us?
Wasn't there an occurrence decades ago at the White House?
Yes, and it was a hoax. Well, it was weather phenomenon. It wasn't anything mysterious.
I don't know. I think they know that maybe we're not ready. We'll probably, we have too many movies saying if they do that, we're going to go to war, and I don't know.
Do you have any evidence from your time in the Pentagon that there might be some kind of non-intervention order, a prime directive, as Star Trek referred to it?
I don't think so. I am at the Pentagon now, but not for UAP stuff.
Oh my God, she's still works for the Pentagon while she's scamming people to talk to dead relatives.
I can only speculate,
Jesus
but I'm hoping, somebody like you, if I had the clearances that you've got and I went into the Pentagon, I think we've all got this illusion, and I know it's completely deluded.
Her boyfriend,
I think we've all got this delusion that you can go into somewhere like the Pentagon and whatever dark secrets there are,
but I think he denied that that's his girlfriend.
Give us the reality, Sarah. Do you think you know? Do you think you know everything that's going on inside the Pentagon and inside the intelligence?
No. I don't want to know. I don't know. What I have learned through this journey, ignorance is bliss, and there are some things that I really I don't need to know.
That's more
I'm good with
believable.
that. It's such a big building.
Yes.
I tell my mom
The
and
alien had
dad
a
that
Star
it's
Trek
like a
uniform
city
on.
itself. There's a cleaners in there. There's all kinds of different restaurants. There's a CVS or pharmacy for those not in the US. They don't
Sun
know what
Lover
CVS
5000
is.
says, these people are talking about the most exciting
It's a
thing in the world,
city.
and
It's
yet it's so
huge,
painfully
and
boring.
I purposely once in a
Mr. Warner
while
says, I knew it.
we'll
Star
just go
Trek.
walk
Yeah,
and
Star
get
Trek is
lost just
real,
to try to
man.
find my
There's
way back
aliens
to
from
my
Star
office
Trek
because it's so
uniforms.
big and I'm
Yes.
still learning how to
And
navigate.
they
And I've been
carry
there,
crystal
I don't
dills
even know,
into
five
women's
or 6 months
bedrooms.
now.
So give me your best guess. Give me your analysis based on your intuitive understanding that comes from your psychic abilities, but also from your insights that you've gained on the job.
Wonder Woman, says Storm
Explain what it is, the anomalous phenomenon that we're investigating.
My meds wore off.
What
I
is
could
it?
be really nutty
Is it
now.
alien? Is it ETs from another planet? Is it interdimensional? Is it God?
She'll say all the above.
Almost all the above.
I knew it! They always say all the above.
It's a good question. My spiritual side is saying God is in all of us. And my spiritual side also says we are all technically parts of being aliens because we're made of the stars. So what you learned in Astronomy 101 is we're star stuff and we're all made of stars.
That's a Moby
What
song.
Are they doing?
We are all made of stars.
I've joked with people over the years that I feel like Earth is a little bit of a zoo, and they just come check on us to see, Coulthart nuclear site. Did they explode themselves yet? And then pop in and out. Go, they
purple kyber crystals.
Ocean's vast, so they're able to go maybe hide a little bit in the ocean when we are able to see them, like the few videos that we have.
You can only get into Area 51 if you're a pimp, or so I hear.
Oh man, I don't know how crazy you want this to get, but spiritual side of things, I have heard lots of theories, and one I do believe is Earth is young and we're kind of an experiment. So some of the benevolent beings want to come here
the good guys
to make sure
that we're
okay, and maybe the bad guys, like the
I can predict these wackadoos. They all say the same
trying to take over.
None of them have any evidence.
So who are the good guys and who are the bad guys amongst the NHI?
Oh, now she's going to give us insight into alien psychology. She has presented exactly zero evidence of anything that she has said through this entire interview, and we're 43 minutes in. We're gonna. I wasn't going to do the whole thing. We're going to do it.
Yeah. I'll start with bad. Draconians, lizard people. A lot of people joke about lizards, and basically all politicians are the lizards type thing.
Oh my God, she's going to.
But yeah, Draconians. So a lot of them are built or named after a lot of constellations. So Arcturians are the good guys.
Oh my
I work with them a lot during some of my healing sessions. And I should say they work with me. And
she works with aliens
that they're here. They visit.
She works for the government, and she's saying she works with aliens to heal people.
And they know our
purple aliens showed up in her bedroom with a crystal dill.
Some of what they could do,
and
but
she talks to dead people and to guide. She's working for the government.
I don't. Do you want to? How deep do you want to go?
I mean, I'm fascinated. I mean, one of the things that I've actually had people say to me, and I've got no evidence of this, and I'm just fascinated
is anybody
by it,
in the audience a business owner? Let's just come at this from that perspective. What if you had somebody that worked for you that started saying that purple aliens appear in my bedroom with crystal dills and then disappear into portals? And I also talk to people's dead grandmothers, and I work with aliens to heal people. Wouldn't you fire that person immediately because you know they were off their rockers? Or is it just me? How is she able to hold a government job with top secret clearance being this goddamn crazy? I'm sorry, she's crazy if she believes this shit.
There is a reptilian presence on this planet. And it's fascinating hearing you say that. Are you able to tell me, did you see any evidence of beings in your work at the UAP Task Force?
UAP Task Force, no. So that when I was on the task force, official duty on the task
Look how
force,
much
we
36
kept it
kids are
strictly to
fired.
data. We did not talk
said she's going
about
all in on the
aliens at all. We
woo.
didn't discuss
Oh, yeah.
conspiracy theories. We kept it strictly to data
Oh, there's another
because we
interview
were
of this woman.
working
Maybe
on
we'll do that
imagery from what I
tomorrow.
was doing.
There's a
Forgive
whole
me for
nother interview
interrupting,
of this
but
woman.
if, say,
What is
somebody
that?
had
Disclosure
secured
Tonight
video
or whatever.
of a biologic
Any show
or
with
an
the
alien,
with
wasn't that
disclosure in the
dated?
title are full of shit wackadoos.
It would be. We
She
never
was
saw.
on
I
that
never
show
saw
too.
that. I wish I would have. That would have been
Disclosure
cool.
Now,
But no,
Disclosure Tonight. I get them all mixed up.
I only
Too many
looked at
disclosure
aircraft.
shows.
And so when you say that you didn't come across it during your time at the UAPTF, where have you become aware of the presence of what you say are reptilian beings?
Oracle readings.
Oh, that was through my spiritual side, my spiritual work.
And do you?
I have.
And forgive me, sorry, I apologize for interrupting.
Many cats. Yes,
when
I
you
agree, 100%.
talk about that, is that something that you volunteer to your colleagues at the UAPTF?
Right,
because I'm fascinated by the number of people in defence and intelligence who say to me privately that there is something to this non-human intelligence idea of different beings, blue beings, reptilians, Nordics, greys. And it does my head in because they're talking candidly about this as a reality and accepting it in quite a normal, casual way. And yet, to my worldview, we're the only intelligent beings that I know of
blue
at the
avians
moment.
Or white.
Well, yours is derived from a spiritual understanding.
Nordics. There's no evidence.
I'm intrigued because there's a lot of stories, a lot of legends, a lot of mythology and modern ufology suggesting that there have been interactions between humans and different types of non-human intelligence.
Yes, Wilcock trained her in a past life. He's a spiritual
have we?
banana
I mean, did you ever see
sure.
any evidence in your time at the UAP Task Force, for example, that there were agreements between humans and
they're talking about the
non-human
Eisenhower
intelligences?
meeting with the aliens. I guarantee it.
I never encountered it, but I know of stories of people
like Eisenhower
prior to me in prior programs that know of that.
And it's interesting because one of the people I know you worked with was Jay Stratton, and poor Jay and his family, as you know, have had extraordinary experiences
werewolves
since
followed
he returned
him home
from
Skinwalker
Ranch with anomalous phenomena hounding his family, often in quite an unpleasant way. Is this something that people on the UAP Task Force talked about? Do people often have these kind of anomalous experiences? Lou Elizondo, for example, told me in an interview how he and his wife and family saw orbs, often at night, but also during the daytime in the back garden, some kind of intelligently guided orb that floated through their house and through their back garden. Yes. How many members of the UAP Task Force had what appears to be NHI clearly taking an interest in them?
What was the smoking? The smoking werewolf.
I don't want to speak for other people because that's their story, and maybe they'll come out and talk. But there were a few of us that have had personal encounters, and some a little bit more intense than others. Mine was good, but I also am used to entities coming in my house and talking with me as a medium. But somebody, you, like you said earlier, you wouldn't be okay with that. So I have a different mindset from when I have a visitor versus them, because I know what comes in my house is going to be of love and light, because I put very strict boundaries and protection up. But not everybody knows that, right? Not everybody knows how to do that protection.
He likes blondes, I think.
Yes, I'm trying to dance around answering your question. Yes, there's others that have had personal encounters at some point in their life, maybe not necessarily when they were on the task force.
In other words, there's a lot of wackadoos on that UAP.
One of the things that I've been researching very recently is people with psionic abilities that the US government, notably the US Air Force, has been taking a strong interest in. When your psychic abilities came to the attention of your managers in the Department of Defense, was there ever any attempt to recruit you into something like the Gateway program to study your psychic abilities?
Nope. No one. There was never a conversation or anything like that.
And when you were a child, some of the people that I've been talking to have gone through the gifted and talented education program in schools,
people.
and they found themselves diverted into programs that were run by a private military contractor, overseen, we suspect, by the US Air Force, which appears to have been looking for children with alleged psionic abilities. Did you ever in your time as a child have any kind of testing that made you wonder if you were being tested for your psychic ability?
No.
Oh,
I grew up in rural Missouri. If somebody would have tested me, the whole town would have known within 2.5 seconds. It was no, and then you would have known the strangers were in town and they talked to Sarah, and so no, I'm thankful that didn't happen.
Don't worry.
One of the things you've talked about in the course of this conversation,
anything that comes in her home is love and light. So was that purple alien with the big crystal dill there to love and light her up, or what? Like, so stupid. So stupid.
Is, we've talked about
works
God.
For the government.
We've talked about
secret
how you
projects.
died and you feel like you went to heaven.
Or she did.
Are you Christian?
Still works
do you
for the
think
Pentagon,
that
apparently.
those beliefs, if you have them, mold your perception of what you saw?
Yes.
Yes, I grew up in a religious household, and my spiritual journey has taken me down a different route, so I don't consider myself religious anymore. I'm definitely still a Christian. I pray to God and I talk to God, and I talk to a few extra people now than I did before.
Oh my God.
I think how my journey has happened has been
just checking in, and it appears
there's a synchronicity to everything, right? And I think it's synchronized perfectly, because if I would have done any of those orders in a different manner, I might have a different perspective for things. But I think because of my astronomy and the astrophysics background, it's also really kept me open-minded for all of this.
This girl's definitely a crystal hippie.
Undergrad,
she's
when
got
I was
beads,
a sophomore,
got psychic
somebody
powers,
asked me,
she's got aliens appearing in her bedroom and kill her with a big crystal
why would we be selfish enough to think an infinite amount of space is just us?
Hippie bitch.
And then the next question was, but you believe in God, so how do you portray infinite amount of space?
Written on the bathroom wall at the Skinwalker Ranch.
It was such a weird question to me, because I'm like, why are those two separate things? Why are it blew my mind that people put things in different buckets, and the world doesn't work like that.
Small hands.
It's interesting. A few months ago, we had a conversation with Paul Thigpen, who's quite a prominent theologian, and we were talking about the ideas behind UAP.
Yeah, she needs to wear more bangles.
And Paul was arguing fundamentally that they're not incompatible with Christian beliefs or any religious beliefs. That if you look at religion, I made the observation that if you go back through religion, it's possible to see a lot of religious ideas through the notion that, in fact, what we regard as spiritual beings are, in fact, perhaps highly intelligent, super advanced technologies that were engaging with humans at a time when, what was perhaps a spacecraft powered by anti-gravity drives was described as a winged chariot or a glowing sphere in the Book of Ezekiel. What's your take on that?
Live ended. Of course,
I totally agree.
It's an echo chamber.
So I do connect to angels. This is really hard for me. I'm not used to just talking. I call it with muggles about this. So.
No, it's funny. It's funny. I have a daughter who's very similar to you in terms of your belief system, and she's constantly jolting my worldview and basically challenging me to be more open-minded.
No, I don't believe
and one of the things that I find is the more I go down this rabbit hole and infuriate the debunkers, I love it. I get these rabid messages from debunkers who are attacking me for taking seriously things like psychic abilities, things like near-death experiences, and yet.
Hey,
so many people are describing what you're describing. I mean, they can't all be deluded and wrong, can they?
Right.
But it's hard to beat the last wacky wife.
I think the truth is coming out. It's happening in the
teaching people how to deal
community. You call it an awakening,
and
everybody, 100% of humans that are born, we can all do what I do when I talk
for a
to
course
loved
where you're
ones.
guaranteed
We
a happy
just
ending.
lose the ability over time because we're
Why?
told it's not real. We're
They all
told
call her
it's an
by her
imaginary
name.
friend,
The angels
or don't
do.
say
Say,
that. That's against God. And
says she
so
talks
we
to
get it
angels.
in our heads that it's not right and to not talk about it. But if you embrace it, it's actually
Russ,
brought me
you're attacked
closer
because
to
you're a
God.
hack.
It's brought, because I could see it's hard to
She's
explain because I get
it's a
to
Wilcox
see
script talking to
different
angels.
things
Yes.
that others don't from a different perspective as well. So your physics is about reference points. If you are solving an equation,
About
your
reference
reference
points.
point matters, because if you change that, you're going to get a different answer. You're going to get a different outcome. And I get to see multiple reference points at one time and multiple outcomes. And
References.
it's such a gift that I hope to never take advantage of. But I also get to see, the bad as well that comes along with this. And people are always going to believe what they want, and that's fine. I'm not here to force somebody to believe everything that I'm saying, but I'm saying it with confidence, or else I wouldn't be here. I'm not getting paid. I'm not,
Not yet.
nobody's
She's gonna be
sitting on
working
the other
UFO
side of this
conferences. I
laptop
guarantee
telling
it.
me what to say.
Guarantee
I'm
it.
doing it to try to help, and try to educate. So the biggest thing is
Oh, she wants to help
education and
people
help the
by taking
awakening.
money
And
to talk to your
kids
dead
now are
grandma.
starting
Yeah, that's
to
helping.
be
No, that's a
embrace
scumbag move,
more
honey.
of the unknown, and it is such a marvelous thing to witness.
So I'm fascinated that you say that you were in contact, or you actually saw this blue being, because one of the things that has really jolted my worldview, and you and I spoke about this privately, is that multiple people, an alarming number of people, have contacted me from all over the world since I started talking about a person who told me that they were being communicated with by a blue being. And I'm somewhat embarrassed and ashamed of myself to admit that initially I was scoffing at the idea and very, very dismissive that a non-human intelligence would reach out to an individual human and impinge on their consciousness and give them creative ideas or intellectual ideas. But that's exactly what people are describing to me is going on, that there is some kind of seeding happening, some kind of exchange of knowledge happening at the consciousness level. And it often involves beings or entities that, when you really push people, I mean, it shocked me when you said earlier that the being you saw in your bedroom was blue, because that just brought back the familiar tones. All of the accounts that you give are so familiar to me. Is there a mission that you believe you've been imbued with? Have you been conveyed the notion that you have an obligation to make people more aware?
I haven't asked, does she have a book to promote? Not yet, but I guarantee she will.
I don't think it's an obligation, because we still have free will.
She will.
I think it's
fair enough, Kevin. She'll have a book to sell. She'll be working UFO conventions and conferences. I guarantee it.
I think it's time to wake more people up.
Someone's got to pick up that blue.
But is that something that you've decided yourself, or do you think you've been given a little nudge?
Oh, I for sure have had a nudge. I've been having a nudge my whole life.
The self-licking ice cream cone.
all of this roller coaster of a journey has made sense, and the more spiritual classes I take or the certifications I get, it's just another layer of, this is why I'm here. This is why God kicked me out of heaven. Different things that I've been able to do at work, of projects that I've worked on, and it's like, okay, this is also why I was kicked out of heaven. So it's
was kicked out of heaven.
I've definitely got a nudge, and I definitely am brave enough. I was raised to be a very strong, independent woman, and can do a lot on my own, and take a lot of blows. And I have my whole life I've spoken up for others as a group, as a whole. People have passed me words to speak for them, and I think now it's just another layer of that.
Dudes with big foreheads.
Can I ask you this in closing? I think we're getting close to having to wrap soon, but I'm so enjoying this conversation. One of the excuses that's often given to me privately by people of deep religious belief and deep religious conviction is that America particularly is a very religious place, that most people believe in God. And the idea of an ontological shock, that revealing the existence of a non-human intelligence would be of such shock to the populace that it would cause widespread breakdown of society and, a loss of the very structures of our democracy. What do you say to that kind of
violating
notion?
purple kyber
I mean, I
crystals.
totally agree. I think that's why maybe some things haven't happened in mass yet, because
I'll marry her for
it would
credit.
cripple economy, it would cripple religion around the world, not just our country.
Yeah, it's so
it would
it
would hinder gas. Like if they gave us their technology, we don't need fossil fuels anymore. It would
don't marry a woman unless she has
impact
good credit. Trust me.
every single thing in our lives.
To have a woman with good credit.
I'm excited for the day. I'm hopeful for the day if they want to show up, but I think they will do it in a baby step type manner. I hope they do.
Soul, but he does possess a bench.
Do you think we're ready?
Yeah, he's an award-winning journalist. He got an award for the fakest stories.
Will anyone ever be ready? I think that answer is probably no. So I know there's a lot out there that are. I have been receiving messages and a lot of emails and stuff from people that have had encounters. There's a lot of people out there that definitely are, that there would be a lot of support of.
That's true.
Yeah, overall, yes, we're ready, but
my analysis could never be scientific because I'm only as good as the people that contact me. But going on the people that contact me and the volume of people engaging with this subject, I get the impression that the phenomenon is showing itself far more overtly to people at the moment, that there is a very intense effort by whatever it is to make people aware of its existence. Do you think we're close to some kind of a disclosure moment? If not, I mean, I certainly doubt the Pentagon's ever going to stand up at a lectern and tell all, but do you think the NHI might be positioning themselves at some stage to reveal to us the manner of
absolutely. I 100% confidence, yes. I do think NHI are ready to come forward. I think all of these, like what you said, things are happening more frequently now, and I do think disclosure is going to happen from the public, not from the government. The disclosure is going to happen, and the government's going to have to backtrack and be open. Like, oh yeah, how about that?
So why are they lying? Why not just tell the truth?
My personal Sarah opinion, this isn't anybody else's. I just think that, at first they didn't know how to tell the public, and so buried it. And that mound of dirt that it was buried under has now become a mountain, and maybe we don't know how to come back from that. And also maybe things were forgotten over the years, and people have passed away that had some legacy knowledge, so that went with them because they never were able to write it down because it was classified. And so I think it was a multitude of things, but again, my personal opinion.
So Sarah, how can people contact you if they want to hear more from you and know more about your work?
I am on Instagram, so Sarah Grace Warrior. And then, I think that you could Google my website. That's on there too. So email is sarahgracewarrior@gmail.com. If you want to reach out there, on LinkedIn. I have had an influx of LinkedIn things, so I'm sorry I don't get on there very much. But I think mostly Instagram is probably the best way to message or email.
Hit me up
well, I, for one, take great heart from the fact that the Pentagon, which is commonly described and decried as this kind of monolith of denialism and cover-up, actually has somebody as open-minded and as spiritually interesting as you on their stuff, and it makes me feel better for the sake of humanity that you're in there with all the secrets in your head. Sarah Gamm, thank you so much for speaking to Reality Check.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Oh God! Thank God we made it through that. Oh God, that was rough. Somebody commented in the live chat, ufology is so dead that we've got to talk to Wonder Woman. There's so little going on that they roll out somebody that says they have superpowers. It's incredible. All right, friends. We're going to take a few comments and questions from the live chat before we roll on out of here. I can't tell you how happy I am. It's not very often that I get nervous before a show, but given the fact that we're running on brand new software, a lot of things could go wrong. And I did, for those that are Patreon supporters or members, I did a special video showing all the upgrades here and the camera angles and stuff like that. For you members and Patreon supporters, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. You get the same goodies, but you get a couple extra goodies. And also, while we're on that subject, yeah, I think that I have some new plans. And those plans are, I'm kind of going to ask you Patreon supporters and channel members. Recently, I was attacked because we have a paywall here. And you people know I don't like having a paywall, but it's sort of a requirement. You know, those extra funds help keep the show going, help keep us upgrading the sets and gaining more capability, a bigger following, and the like. And so, but recently I was attacked for having things behind a paywall. And somebody found a tweet where I said, my content is now and will always be, all my content is now and will always be free. Well, technically, no, you got those videos behind a paywall. Everybody knows that if you're having a tough time and you're a big fan of the show, you don't really need to pay. You just email me and I put you on this special list of people that are having a tough time. Hey, brother, can you spare $1? It's rough out there. I sure know it is. So when somebody's a fan of the show and they'd like to get those, and we only do a couple extra videos a month, maybe 4, I don't know. It varies. So if nobody that's a Patreon supporter or a YouTube channel member objects, going forward, I would like to give you guys those videos early, and then maybe a week or 2 later, plus place those publicly on our page. First of all, I think that may entice some people to give me the $1 and join the Patreon, or the $5 and join our channel membership to get those members only or Patreon videos. And secondly, then people won't be able to call me a liar. It's so ridiculous that all these grifters are making millions of dollars. I make a couple of dollars here, and suddenly, oh, you're a grifter too, Steven. So if nobody objects, I believe what I'm going to try to do going forward is I will give you guys the members only and Patreon videos, and then a week or 2 later, I'll take those videos that were behind the paywall and just have them publicly so that I, can follow through. And I don't believe I was lying, because everybody knows I've announced many, many times, if you're having a tough time and you can't afford the $1, the $5 or whatever, and you're a fan of the show and you'd like to get those extra goodies, just email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. And you don't need to tell me what's going on. It's really none of my business. Just say, hey, fan of the show, can't afford the Patreon, or, I'm having a tough time, whatever. Just very brief, just so I know you're one of those people. Maybe you're having a tough time. And hey, I've been there. And I'll put your email on the list, and you'll get the same benefits that everybody else gets for the $1, even if you don't give me the $1. That's the way I'd like to do it going forward. If nobody objects, I'm going to do it that way so that we can say all of my content is free. Now, you might have to skip an ad, or I'm not even supposed to say skip it. You might have to deal with some ads. It's ad supported, but Why Fools is asking, are you buying one of Sarah's vibrating purple crystal, Stephen? No, I never really was big on any kind of toys, right? Don't need them. I got a cock. I'm good. Yeah, Kevin Alt says, you're not grifting, you're telling the truth. Good. Storm Crow with a kind and generous $5 Australian, and I apologize, Storm Crow, don't have any praise the cash bumpers, says, I changed my mind on the glowy border. It's not so bad. Well, I thank you. And maybe I could take it off, but I just thought, you know what it is? It's like having a new toy, Storm Crow. Like, I didn't have that. We didn't have animated borders in our old software. So the minute I saw that, and then you can't see it too well because I don't have the blue lights on. I don't want to get up, but there's blue lights that will go on these walls back here that you see after these colored ones. And I forgot to turn them on today, but if you turn those blue lights on, it matches this. So I thought this was perfect. But we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. Garage Z is here and says, could you imagine someone asking Wilcock if he will comp those $300 sets of books? Yeah, let's see David Wilcock give away his content for free. He'll never, ever do it. And, you know, he's struggling to survive, Garage. He only makes $250,000 a year, you know, plus all that free charity money that he doesn't have to pay income tax on. And boy, do we have a story coming up about that. And for those that have asked, yes, we'll be returning to Wilcock coverage soon. I'm gathering arrows in my quiver. And it's a pretty full quiver already, but I keep finding more. And so when I return to David Wilcock coverage, we're going to have some bombshells to share with you. Richard Warner says, the simple-minded really have to dig and spin to try to get something on Stephen. He's living rent-free in their heads. Yeah, I definitely am. And oh, that reminds me, speaking of living rent-free in somebody's head, it's very, very interesting. We do have some upcoming Wilcock coverage. Oh man. I promise you all that I will get faster at working all of this stuff. You know, everything, I can do anything with this software that we did with the old software. The major problem is that, first of all, I'm visually impaired. And second of all, every button is in a different place than I'm used to. So this is an upcoming story that's going to be here on Truth Seekers. Wait, let's see. How do I do it bigger? Oh, wait. Remove myself. Got to remove myself and put myself back. The Truth Seeker's mind virus in David Wilcock's brain. I truly think I broke his brain, guys. My coverage is so good about all the shady shit that he's been involved in. He's losing his mind. Did you hear the last couple of streams of him? He's basically like, I'm definitely not a con artist. Oh, it's beautiful. I am living rent-free. Of course, he's making additional threats to sue me and other critics. It's all so ridiculous. We'll be returning to covering the wacky world of Wilcock very soon. And we have some amazing new stuff for that. We've got a new theme song and video to start the show with. We've got all kinds of new information. He released more information about his shady charity and what he's spending all the money on. And that's going to be a laugh riot when we go through that paperwork, right? Yeah, I should play the Wacky World of Wilcock music video as a sign-off. You know what? Just to drive him crazy, I'm going to try to do that. But you'll have to excuse me for a moment. If questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters because I'm going to have to get the link and then I got to upload it here to be able to play it. I think I'll be able to do it. 1 second. Oh, I found it. I definitely found it, but I gotta get it and then I gotta upload it to the software. But in the meantime, I'll take comments and questions from the live chat. For those unaware, I'm visually impaired, which is also the reason for the shades. I wear them for medical reasons. I have a paralyzed eye, so it really does help me if you would be so kind as to put your questions or comments that you want shared on the screen and for me to respond to. Please put those in all capital letters. It really, really does help me identify them. Yeah, Sandra McDonald. Yeah, he's definitely doing that. No, he's not. And by the way, this week, Sandra, I actually spoke with the lawyer that did that Corey Good deposition. Remember that lawyer that took Corey Good's ass apart in those depositions? I spoke to him about this David Wilcock situation. Well, I didn't speak to him. I spoke to an associate of his. And, you know, if anything were to pop off, I think that's the lawyer that I will hire because Wilcock is going to lose his goddamn mind knowing that the same lawyer that destroyed Corey Good's grift is now my lawyer, you know? Of course, I don't think I can afford that guy. He is very, very expensive, big California law firm. Kevin Alt says those videos are cool. I agree. I agree. Definitely cool. All right. So, I thought about, the funny thing is I thought about uploading that and playing out tonight's show, but I just didn't get to that. I was just so concerned with everything working from a technical perspective tonight. Stormcrow, did you ever reveal the box of dildos? No, that's coming on the next episode of the Wacky World of Wilcock. Wait do you see where it is, guys? Oh, it's so good. Let me get over to where I upload the videos, and we'll do the Wacky World of Wilcock. Yeah, I think that's a good way to play us out. So for those unaware, a person named Shige, Shige, I believe, is the person who made this incredible new Wacky World of Wilcock song, which we're going to be using for the new theme song for the new and improved version of the Wacky World of Wilcock. Oh, and I just wanted to say, I didn't mean to do this, but we have 7 camera angles in here. I didn't use them all tonight because honestly, I got a really messy desk. So 2 of them show the desk. I didn't show those tonight, but I showed some of the other ones. And, I just think it's funny that David Wilcock has 7 camera angles, and now we do too. And it sure didn't cost me thousands and thousands of dollars per camera, but it works, and we have 7 camera angles. So when we go back to covering Wilcock, we can play that game we used to play where every time he changes his camera angle, I will too. Let's see if we have more questions and comments from the live chat. I'm very pleased that everything seems to have gone well tonight, right? Because, well, that's weird. Now I'm having trouble getting back to the live chat. It's not going back. Oh, I got it. There's an actual back button. Oh, thank you. Arlene Atkins says, Stephen, your video about the cameras was great. Yeah, for the Patreon folks, I showed all the camera angles. We got 7, just like David Wilcock. David Wilcock's next camera angle is his colonoscope. Yeah, and by the way, for the next bunch of days here, any money donated will buy us 1 more camera. I'm going to buy 1 more camera and set it up in here just so that we can I'm going to put it on every thumbnail. More camera angles than David Wilcock. Stormcrow, with a kind and generous $5 Australian says, here's $5 so you can get an Elizabeth doll to yell at. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity and support. Praise the cash. Also, we want to thank Mike Larry, who bought, 150 coffees on Buy Me a Coffee. He's the MVP. Every time I look at the Buy Me a Coffee, I keep getting emails like somebody bought 100 coffees or whatever. Mike Larry, boy, he's a baller. He must have like a ton of money. David sent me a kind and generous $5 PayPal pledge who says, hi, Stephen. Wait, let me get to it. So we'll read the PayPal pledges as well, and I'm just going to have to praise the cash manually tonight. He says, hi, Stephen, contributions towards the David Wilcock Dildo Foundation. Oh, man, that is great. And initials AM with a $25 Canadian. Oh, thank you, David. Praise the cash, bitches. Adam with a kind and generous $25 Canadian and no message. Nemesis Bex with a kind and generous $9.95 says, Nemesis Bex, best show on YouTube. Thank you, Nemesis Bex. We appreciate you. Thanks for appreciating us and helping us to praise the cash. We want to thank Mike Larry. We also want to make sure that we thank our mysterious benefactor. Got a huge donation recently, and it paid for finishing the in-person studio, getting the polygraph machine set up. I anticipate we're going to do our first in-person live guest maybe next week. The perfect guest for Halloween. He claims he talks to non-human entities. And we're going to hook him up to the polygraph after he tells us his story. Ari Kama, Akik Kama says TikTok is full of UFO grifters. Yeah. I was thinking about doing a TikTok channel and just being a grifter, right? Can I be a grifter on one platform and tell the truth on all the others? Would that be fair? So I can at least make some money? And then, of course, there's Grift Month. We're going to do something called Grift Month here, where I'm going to be a UFO grifting scammer for a full-on month. And we're going to track the results, but we're going to tell you the truth about all the material that I will publish during that month of Grift Month. I think it'll be an interesting social experiment. So, my friends, I think we've done our due diligence. And honestly, I want to sign off before we do have any major problems, technically wise, because I kind of just want to get through. I'll feel better tomorrow with this software. It's like popping a cherry. You got a bad analogy, but first time you're nervous, right? I was very nervous that some of this stuff wasn't going to work, or that I would have major audio or video problems. Seems like everything worked. And so far, I would highly recommend this EVMux software. And for those unaware, they are going to be a sponsor of Truth Seekers. And anybody who is interested in starting their own show, their own podcast, live streaming, recording a podcast, you can use it for both. Use the link in the description of our video or podcast. I get a couple of bucks for everybody that signs up. And I'd be happy to recommend to any former StreamYard host, especially. The software is better. I'm still learning where all the buttons are and how to work everything, but it works very much like StreamYard at half to a quarter of the price that StreamYard is charging, and they don't steal features from you and expect more money back. So, interestingly, we're kind of turning the page tonight, because this really is it's kind of like a milestone. I built my entire show on StreamYard. If I had my choice, we would just stay on StreamYard. But I'm glad this happened, because if they didn't almost double my price, I would never have taken the time. And by the way, this was a very arduous process, because that's my big word of the day. It's on my calendar. Arduous means difficult. This was an arduous process because I couldn't just find I went and spent a lot of time on Restream, Streamlabs, and a bunch of other software like this. It just so happened that EVMux, I don't know how, but there was a thread on Twitter with us StreamYard hosts talking about finding alternatives. And somebody from their Twitter said, hey, check out EVMux. And I did. The affiliate link is in the description of this video. So if you sign up, hey, I'd be happy to help you in any way that I could. But I've only been using the software for like a week. It's very intuitive. It's very much like StreamYard. If you're used to StreamYard, I think it would only take most people, a couple of nights of really messing with it. There's a few things I don't understand. Like I'm still not getting the YouTube link until the show goes live. I'm going to have to figure that part out, because I prefer to promote the show before it happens, not when it's happening or after it happened. And I noticed we had kind of low numbers tonight, and I think that's because of lack of the link being posted all over Facebook and Twitter and wherever the groups that we post in. So I got to figure that out. I still have some work to do on this set. I have to get this other screen working over there. But interesting that, it works great, and the multicam seems to be working. So we have done our due diligence, my friends, and I am going to bounce on out of here. I want to take a moment to thank all of you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, super chatters. I don't have the bumpers I usually have, so I'm going to do the good YouTuber thing and tell you, please do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos on your social media. And follow me on Insta, Facebook, and Twitter. And we appreciate those follows. You'll always know what's going on with the show if you follow me on one of those three platforms. Kevin Alt, do I ever play those guitars? Yes, I played both of them. Well, I don't play the acoustic one very much, but every once in a while I play the electric still. I have a little amp in the other room and a chair, and I relive my glory days of being in a rock band. I'm still writing a rock metal album, Kevin Holt, and I did use both of those guitars on that album. But that album is going so slow. Maybe it'll be released in the next 8 years. I don't know. But yeah, unlike some people, um, I am Renegade Magician on Instagram. I have to add it to the description of the video. Not a very big Instagram user, but we're going to be returning to live streaming there. So we're going to try to be. Yeah. Yes, it definitely is. Arlene Atkins says, is it a YouTube rule that male streamers must have guitars on their set? Yeah, but unlike Jimmy Greasy Church, I actually can play guitar. And I actually played guitar and recorded guitars and, played guitar and sang in a real band and toured playing guitar and singing. So I'm not just hanging up a guitar for a decoration, Arlene Atkins. I actually do use those. And the acoustic guitar came from one of my friends growing up who sadly passed away. So that guitar, I kind of try not to play it. I have another acoustic guitar. That one I don't play too much because it's just here to remind me of my close friend. His name was Tommy, and he was he was an awesome musician friend of mine. Yes, Steve Bosco says, I have 30 guitars. It's a sickness. Yeah, every time I buy a guitar, Steve Bosco, my wife says, how many guitars do you need? And my answer is always the same. I need, all of them, of course. I have an Ibanez Iceman. I have a couple of Gibson Studios. I have a Gibson Custom and a few beat or sort of no-name guitars. I sort of play the no names more, but when I'm recording in the studio, I tend to use the Gibson Studio. It's heavy and beautiful. Troll says, Wilcock looks more suited to playing the ukulele. Yes. Kevin Holt says, nice, got to jam out with your clam out. Absolutely, Kevin Holt. Yes. And Arlene Atkins says, Stephen, I know you do play. I have one of your songs on my computer from back when you posted some. Yeah, there's still a bunch of free albums on our YouTube channel here. So, my friends, we've done our due diligence, and I am going to play us out with the new Wacky World of Wilcock. The new Wacky World of Wilcock. And let me just check in with the Discord. I'm going to give the... Okay, yes. The person who created this is on our Discord named Shige. I think Shige or Shiggy, Shige, who made this new Wilcock theme song. It's much, much better than mine. I love it. So, my friends, thank you for being here tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think we may go through another interview of this Wackadoo on the Disclosure Boner show. It's going to be fun. She's pretty wacky. I like her. So I want to thank all of you for your patience while we did this transition to the new software. I'm so glad to be back in action. I felt like, oh man. And the only remaining thing is that I have to kind of suck all of my bumpers out of StreamYard before they fuck me and I can't access them. I don't want to be going through shows looking for this bumper or that bumper. So I got to make one video of each of the brands that have like 20, 30 short videos each. It's going to be fun. Not really. But I'm going to work on that tonight. We will be done with StreamYard. They're not going to rob me anymore. They only got to rob me for double the price for 1 month. And then I found this EV Mux, which I highly recommend. Feel free to message me if you're a show host and have any questions. But be sure to use my affiliate link because I need to praise the cash, bitches. All right. And by the way, these guys were great. They offer, do you want us to sponsor your show? Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And I really would highly recommend it so far. It's got a lot of extra features that StreamYard just doesn't have. And they're a small company. They've got great customer service. They're responsive if you have a question or a problem. Highly recommend them. No complaints here. So, yeah, I will definitely be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hope you'll be here with me. So get all those lovely good night and goodbye messages. Yeah, that's all I got for you, friends. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you'll be here with me. No place else I would rather be. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you, especially you, David Wilcock. Now that you pissed me off and threatened me and my family, I think I've got some reporting to do. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Valley's been a ghost ship, 20 years of empty claims, with hangars full of garbage and dreams that never came. Now he's fishing for new suckers to store more junk inside, while promising his gullible fans hover cars and free energy rides.
We are working on anti-gravity. As soon as we get finance, which again is coming very soon.
Divine insights were handed down, but now they cost a fee. In the wacky world of Wilcock, that's the way it's gotta be. Financial resets, debts erased, a world so fair and bright. The alliance never came, and neither did his wife. The wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. Just buy my course, $300. Enlightenment's the deal. In the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. Extraterrestrial pals, they're coming here to stay. Disclosure's always just around, but aliens delay. Law of one, the Bible, Bhagavad Gita, all mixed up in one. David's stealing from the best, but his fans think it's a brand new one. Plagiarize and profit, that's his favorite routine. In the wacky world of Wilcock, where nonsense reigns supreme, we'll all get rainbow bodies, whatever that might mean. And Jesus is an alien, the wildest thing you've seen. David's on a hero's journey through dimensions far and wide. Draco reptilians know where he lives, so in his mansion he must hide. Catastrophes and end times were on the brink, he said, but my coffee's brewing nicely, and I'm still in my bed. The wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. Just buy my course, $300. Enlightenment's the deal. In the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. No one's suffering like David in his mansion grand and tall, with bison, steak, and chicken. He's the loneliest of all. His teeth are fake as his prophecies and courses that he sells. In the wacky world of Wilcock, he's ringing all the bells.
If we bathe in our own urine, we can gain superpowers. What doing the bath does help. Or you urinate before you get into the bathtub, and then you drink new water out of a glass, and when you're in the bathtub, you can do a little more.
Buy my course, $300. Enlightenment's the deal. In the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. His PowerPoint slides are packed with schizophrenic rants, forced to stream on YouTube now, bankruptcy's his stance. Stavati Aerospace, a Ponzi scheme they say, so pay pigs better pay up, or like Corey Good he'll stay. So many dates, so many dreams, none of them come true, but hey, don't fret, just buy the course and I'll enlighten you.
For God's sake, take the deal, okay? But you have to take the deal and you have to cooperate.
Rise, rise, rise. And you feel yourself, kinetic energy of levitation, tingling across your skin.
In 2012, we'd all ascend, a cosmic shift was due. But here we are in 24, and nothing much is new. Mass arrests and cabal busts, beliefs should quake in fear, yet they're still here, sipping wine, and we're all stuck right here, in a world of Greer and Good, Crush and Loot, with their claims nobody tops David Wilcock, with his fringe and wacky games, while they're sharing UFOs, and theories kinda tame. David's got aliens aliens who wanna sleep with him and eat him, what a shame. He's the master of the bizarre with rainbow bodies on display in the wacky world of Wilcock, where nonsense leads the way. So here's to Dave, the shyster bold, with tales so far-fetched and grand, in his world of make-believe, where fantasy's second-hand. He spins his fairy tales and lies between his YouTube streams for his cat crystal ladies who gobble up his dreams.